over here on Friday, Tom? I mean, I don't know why it feels like it's been a minute since we got together to talk sports with everybody. But it hasn't been.
Couple of reasons, some happy and some tragic and sad, but I think that partially had to do with it last week. What our community went through, but then also what our community helped do for good last week as well. So I think a lot of emotions going around last week, and then it was a weekend where you didn't have the kids, so I'm sure it felt like you spent a week by yourself, or with your wife, I should say. But
yeah, and they come back tonight. They fly in tonight.
Oh,
and, great! Wow. I got to drive out to the airport this evening. That's always fun. To pick them up like late, not early. Which
so is it the same rule that applies if they're minors, that you have to go there to pick them up the same way that you drop them off at the gate?
No, I don't think so. But
it's called Lyft or Uber.
Well, my 17-year-old could have just driven himself home, but he didn't want to take his car to the airport when we dropped him off the other morning.
Oh, he didn't?
No.
Oh, well, that's just too damn bad.
Correct. That's one way to look at it. But I needed to be there anyhow, so I was like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? But that'll be the sleepless version of me tomorrow on headlines. So not the sleepless, but the short of sleep version.
So yes, I think why it feels like a minute is you had a chance to take a break. And it feels like longer than a couple of days. So good for you.
A little bit of a respite. Where do we begin? I guess, once again, for anybody that missed us on Friday, a hearty thank you to everybody involved in the golf tournament. The JCS golf tournament went swimmingly, and we had so many people that we wanted to thank. We did on Friday's show, and that included all of you guys who participated and the people who didn't that also helped support the cause. There was a lot of that. We broke a record, and our record anyhow. And
destroyed the record.
Yeah, we're going to continue to try to, raise the awareness wherever we can. I do know that I'm really proud of the community. I'm proud of this community for a lot of reasons. Proud of the Jeff Cameron Show community and the Florida State community, and I'm proud of the city of Tallahassee. I often am for all the things that they've helped us do over the years for charity, but also obviously a lot of people have been supporting one another in the wake of that tragedy on campus, which we also talked about. I don't want to relive that today, but certainly it resonated throughout the weekend that was. And then, I think that we keep seeing these new numbers that we're able to, whenever we direct the light onto a charity, and that's a result of people doing great things and being part of what we're trying to do here. And I appreciate that very, very much. So that's it. Now we kind of start anew here as we round out. I don't know what the answer is regarding the remaining days of spring football. I don't mean to be callous, and obviously it didn't seem very important at the end of last week, given what was going on. But I would think now, if we turn and pivot now moving forward, I would think they would want to get those days in, those practices in. I would think it would be important to maybe get that last scrimmage in. I don't know what their answer is going to be on this. We haven't really heard, have we?
No, and I wonder what the rules are regarding that. Of course, this would be a reason for NCAA to allow for Florida State to make up those dates. But if I read some of the statements coming from President McCullough this weekend correctly about the reopening of the university and the schedule and the academic calendar, this is the last week of classes. They do finals next week. So, I mean, you would have to get moving in order to schedule that before players, in theory, might go back home for post-spring semester. So if they were to do it, it would be this week, early next week. It would be tough to schedule though next week because of finals, because everybody has different finals at different times. So if they do, look, you especially with new coordinators and new systems and new philosophies and some kids that have left already and entered the portal, as your first couple of chances if you're on the wide receiver depth chart, for example, to go battle for some key reps. If you're part of the offensive line that's been banged up and you're just getting back into camp like some of those guys were for the entirety of spring camp, here's a couple of chances to get out in the field and go do something. I think they'd want to.
Well, and they need to, frankly. They need all the time together that they can get when you're going through scheme changes and personnel changes. I think you would want as much of that time back as you could possibly get if you could get it. On that note, defensive end Aaron Hester, a legacy, has entered the transfer portal. We thought that you might see a lot of kids enter the transfer portal, just in the wake of hiring new coordinators and having different schemes, it's going to affect players different ways. A lot of people will give it a go in the spring and see how they shake out, where they are on the depth chart. Is it satisfactory in their mind? The same goes for coordinators evaluating players. They may decide at the end of the spring to bring guys in and let them know, hey, here's where I think you stand right now with what I'm trying to do. It might be best for you to go somewhere else and pursue your football future there. So we knew that might happen. You're also in the process of weeding certain guys out that were not willing. We've documented this and talked about this a lot on the heels of what the head coach has had to say about certain guys, and not always naming names, but implying that not everybody's responded to the demands this spring as he would have hoped. So you knew there would be a weeding out process there. The bigger news of the weekend really was the dismissal of Jalen Brown, the wide receiver, from the program. Now, this is not ideal. I think Brown was a player that Mike Norvell had high hopes for. Mike Norvell cited him in a way that he didn't cite Hakeem Williams. And I think he thought that Jalen could contribute and make an impact on this receiver depth chart. It's the speed that you value. They don't have a ton of breakaway speed in this group. And he was one of those guys that if he'd come along developmentally and if he was healthy, they thought was going to be able to contribute. Instead, he's dismissed from the program, the details of which is, not a good situation. We don't know all of the details, but we know some. And in my estimation, Tom, the swiftness with which that happened tells me, and this is a guess, that there were some frustrations prior to this incident.
Yes, 100%. Even when Mike Norvell praised him with that question, he said he's finally starting to get it. Like that was the essence of the answer with Jalen Brown, is that the maturity, the consistency is coming around. So that through omission kind of tells you that there were some challenges behind the scenes, and that could be about consistency at camp. It could be off the field. You don't know, but Mike Norvell was speaking to that when he said that Jalen had responded to what they were looking for. I will say in this case, I'm glad I will never have to see him on the perimeter try to block again. That is a win for all Noles everywhere. Now, in this scheme, he probably was not going to be asked to have to do that much at all ever again anyway, because Gus wouldn't do something that's silly. However, I'm glad I won't ever have to see that again.
Well, in this case, there was an arrest, just so people know.
Correct, which, yes, it's him, but, yeah.
Oh, it's him.
Legally speaking, in terms of, but the full reports.
You can look up. I mean, I did.
His birth date and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, there was an arrest here. And now, I don't, one's presumed innocent until proven guilty, I suppose. Right. But I'm just saying there was an arrest.
Oh, no, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. So
for Jalen Brown, who fits the age bracket.
Yes. So at that point, you kind of get the sense that they had enough and goodbye. I'm getting more to the part about the depth chart. That made the third receiver within a week to exit the program. And again, part of that class, not part of a class that you brought in out of the prep ranks. He was a transfer, obviously a transfer portal kid just a year ago. But when you marry some of the things that have happened so far in this portal, window with guys that have left and guys that you brought in, you really realize, man, they've spent a lot of time misevaluating and whiffing. And that all has to stop. Now, it also falls under the category of, okay, good. You've got to be much tougher. You've got to find a way to reinstill sort of the vision you had before that was working and guys were being held to. And if guys aren't going to respond accordingly, they got to go. So that's fine. I can't have it both ways. I can't tell you to weed out guys that aren't responding well. And then when you do, get mad about it. I can say that big picture conversation, it's still part of an ongoing issue here where you're losing talent and you lack depth. That's really what I'm hinting at, is there's a serious lack of depth. And that's why, Tom, it'll be very interesting to see, do they bring folks in? Are there targets in the portal that they like that are worth spending on?
Yeah, I think, and that fit the bill, literally, the actual monetary bill it would cost. I think this increases the urgency to go grab a receiver out of the portal, even if it's not somebody who's gangbusters. It's just somebody who would be a steadying force and they have some experience. You don't want to lean too much on the Javon Boggs of the world at this point in their career, or even Elijah Moore. He's in his second year, or McCoy or BJ Gibson. I'm missing some names in there as well. I mean, you could flex out Jalen Lucas. You also don't want to have to lean on that tight end room to split out wide because you need them to. You want that to be position versatility. You don't want that to be something that by default Randy Pittman has to be out wide more often, or Lofton, or whoever. So yeah, I think I think that they already were looking at receiver. I think now they're looking at receiver more intently, and we'll see what kind of candidate they can bring in, what kind of budget they have, because you also have to weigh that. You know, this offseason budget, you only have so many dollars. Where would you like to spend it first? On what level of production and what position do you want to spend it on first? What's fascinating with all of that is, I mean, you saw a story over the weekend where, Tom, I mean, we already knew, and everybody was aware what a mess the system is right now and how in flux this all is. But if you guys missed this last week, and I'll go find it here because I pulled it up to remind myself to make sure that we went through this, but you had a player sign with, quote unquote, Maryland and then end up at Texas later that day. I mean, what are we out here doing? It's the most convoluted, non-binding, nonsensical way of operating of any sport in the world currently. I mean, it's insane. So a guy signs a deal with a collective at Maryland, is committed to Maryland, and then later on that night is at Texas. So they're all non-binding is my point. So I don't know. You could bring in 5 wide receivers if you were so inclined. Who knows if they'll be here in a week? After you've signed them, who knows if they'll be here 48 hours from now if they don't get a better offer. It's absolutely foolish, and it's not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that, because right when you want to feel good about something, you don't know whether or not you should commit yourself to those feelings. Yeah, and I would say that goes for everybody's roster as well as the guys they have on it, and not even players that are entered into the portal yet. Correct. Everybody's sweating bullets, and I don't think that's just programs that are have-nots or middling or battling for position. I think that's every program. They're if you're Georgia or you're Texas, the aforementioned, you might have a player or two that you think, I hope they don't enter because Ohio State would pay him X or Alabama would pay him Y. Yeah. The problem is, Tom, those programs have an awful lot of depth that Florida State doesn't have. And you saw over the weekend that Georgia picked up 3 of the biggest transfer portal players that there is. And it was announcement after announcement, bam, bam, bam. Yeah. And actually, SEC within SEC is a bad example because that conference does at least have a rule that says you must enter in the winter window if you want to play right away that upcoming year. But still, I think everybody is at least checking in with their people, their own people, checking their own backyard. Like, I'm sure that's something that every head coach has to do each and every day. Hey, anything else? Should we be worried about anything? Because I'm about to spend $750,000 on this position. Should I have to spend it elsewhere? Are we good? Everybody happy over here with our collective? It's an annoying conversation, but it's one they have to check in with pretty routinely. Yeah, I think the hard part is that when you are lacking depth, you really can't afford to have guys that you're projecting to make a difference for you on Saturdays to suddenly leave unexpectedly, or to have a situation like we just had over the weekend at wide receiver. And now you kind of are in a bind. I'm not saying you can't go forward and have success, but I do know this, that the Florida State football season is going to be largely contingent in a way that is more significant in Tallahassee than in other markets currently, the ones that have sustained success and have real depth. It's going to be really contingent on how healthy they can stay. You know, you hold your breath going into this season because the lack of depth in several areas is significant, in my estimation. You currently have a real lack of depth at wide receiver, guys that you believe can play and really contribute on Saturdays for you. You have a lack of depth, maybe not as bad on the offensive line, but pretty significant, I think, on the defensive line. You don't have well, you've been concerned about safety. We can say they have depth at running back, not a ton of quality at running back. Really, the only areas where you feel like you have a lot of depth is tight end, quite frankly, and that may be the only one. Maybe corner.
maybe corner. Yeah.
It's hard to know.
So I think you're going to have a hard time if guys get hurt, and it's a gladiatorial sport in which people do get hurt.
I'm worried about O-line depth too. I mean,
well,
I
just think
specifically,
yeah,
it's a little dicey there.
I'm with you. I don't think it's robust. Don't get me wrong. At least I can name 2 or 3 guys that if they were thrown into action and had to play for the projected starters that are there now, it's not the end of the world. So, for example, Otto is not projected as a starter. If he had to play, you don't feel terrible about that. I will say Simmons played a lot this spring at tackle, and he got a ton of reps because tackles were out, and he didn't play poorly. Now, I don't know if he's ready to go and be the player that we thought he was when we signed him. When he first came in, this was a 5-star kid everybody thought the world of, missed a year due to a health issue, and then now you're just hoping can get caught up. But he's a guy that I think from a toolsy standpoint, you feel pretty good about. If he had to play, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's not ideal, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. So there are a few guys where I can look out there and say, okay, you got a backup guard. You got a backup tackle. You kind of have a jack of all trades that you can move the guard or center in there as well as a backup. That's why I don't think it's just, hitting the panic button with the offensive line. It's not great, but I'm not hitting the panic button. I would hit the panic button if we lose anybody significant on the defensive line. And, you're not exactly loaded at wide receiver. So let's see what they bring in. That's really all we're going to be sitting around thinking about from now as they wrap up spring football. They may have already wrapped it up. We don't know. But I would think that they would like to go out and get some pieces. I think this is the weakest the portal's ever been. It seems to me that there is not a lot of quality that is out there right now in the portal. So I'm stuck betwixt and between. On the one hand, I've got areas of need where I need to bring in some players so I have some depth that's played some, that has some experience. And the other hand, I'm really not out here trying to overpay for some average-ass talent.
Which also creates problems in your locker room. And for what good is that extra couple $100,000 that you're spending on a player above market value? Yeah, the one position I find to be fascinating for the portal specifically this year is edge, defensive end. I just wonder how aggressive Florida State would be with what's in the market, how much of that they would spend, and you'd hear whispers on that. You never pin them down on a real number, but it tells you a couple of things with how aggressive they would be. It tells you what they think about Jason Jenkins' health for the fall.
Correct.
It would tell you if they really believe the Desir twins are ready for prime time, or some of these backup linemen that Mike was citing often. Do you really believe that? Because if you do, then maybe you go get a depth defensive end and not somebody who would command top tier dollars. That is specifically a position I'm looking at with who they get, the caliber of production that player already had, where their other offer list would be, because that gives you an idea of how aggressively they spent to that end. And I think the top line thing that it would tell you, though, is their theory on whether Jenkins is going to be ready to go right out the gates or not.
Well, I'm holding my breath on that one, and I've really thought right from the get-go when he missed the spring due to injury that we had better hear that this is the kind of thing he can rebound from and be able to play. From a depth standpoint, it's important. From a quality of starter standpoint, it's important. And, I'm not real sure where we stand with that right now. This is sort of an effort in the opening segment to say, look, we're wrapping up spring. We're all kind of shifting gears here. It was an Easter weekend. There was a lot going on emotionally with everything that happened over there. The tail end of last week was also a good week for some of the stuff that we were able to do here. But now we're kind of turning our focus back to the sports at hand. And we got playoffs underway in the NHL, playoffs underway in the NBA. We've got teams wrapping up their spring football. We got Florida State baseball returning to the diamond this week. Obviously did not play over the weekend. The ACC golf, the women won the ACC championship in golf, first time in the program's history. Congratulations, Coach Bond. That's awesome.
They got a real shot this year.
They got a real shot. Absolutely they do. But yeah, we're all kind of turning our attention moving forward with what's going on with baseball and softball. But as you wrap up football, you're trying to get a sense of what you feel. What do you think as we enter into what sometimes feels like an interminable period of time in which football is not part of our day-to-day lives? It's also draft week, which, by the way, I'm really looking forward to. And it's a weird draft because it doesn't have a huge buzz. There are no massive outright slam dunk players at the most critical position, quarterback. You have some people that are going to get drafted that people are just by virtue of the fact somebody's going to draft a quarterback. nobody feels good about this quarterback class. And it's kind of weak at several other sexy positions, if you will. And so all of a sudden, you're kind of like, I don't know. It's also a week in which, for the first time in a long time maybe that I can remember, every team has a pick in the first round.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That doesn't usually happen.
It never happens. Like, never. As in my lifetime, it doesn't happen. So everybody's going to, well, we'll see. Atlanta could trade out and, a lot of teams may trade out. We'll see. But I am kind of curious about all that. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
I got some pretty spooky news from my Paul's termite and pest control technician the other day. It turns out that I'm sharing my home with Formosan termites. Those little monsters do damage about 4 times faster than the regular termites. Fortunately, Paul's discovered them on a routine general pest service, and they've already turned the Formosans back using an amazing treatment called Centricon.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader in this non-invasive treatment. Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations. These stations are placed around the home. Termites are present, they feed, and take it back to the colony, which is then destroyed. To learn more about Centricon and a free consultation, go to callpauls.com for the elimination of termite or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke, it's Matt and Brett Dawson.
To the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Florida State plays baseball tomorrow against Stetson. Tom, I see you just updated it in the chat, 5 o'clock. to be broadcast on the ACC network. I imagine that will be a nice moment over at the ballpark for everybody to get together and cheer on the Noles, a little baseball, and some semblance of what is the norm this time of year with baseball returning. And then from there, they got a huge series against Louisville, and there's no way to know how those games being postponed with Virginia really are going to affect the team. I don't know how you would gauge that. You got more rest. That's not always a good thing. Might be for some guys, certainly, but not others. So I don't know. And frankly, I don't know when they would make that up, Tom. I don't know that they will. That might just be that you take the, whatever your winning percentage is, and that's how they'll see the ACC tournament.
That could be that way. Yeah. Sometimes you can make up a random one-off in the middle of the week on for finals, or travel up to the ACC championship. We've done that in the past where we have just, kind of wedged a game in there because of weather cancellations. But yeah, you're right. It's just impossible to know how it impacts this team because every individual player probably has a different story of how last Thursday went down for them. And so everybody's going to deal with that and internalize that differently. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. Now you're talking about the mental part, and you're right. That is impossible. I'm talking about the physical part where, pitchers get extra days. And again, not to be crass, but they are going to play the rest of the season, and we are going to figure out what they're going to be. And you're right. There is the emotional and mental side of this, and then there's the physical side of this. And I am kind of curious what we see from this team, both against Stetson tomorrow and then at Louisville for the 3 games this upcoming weekend, which that's a fun series. And that is a lively place to go play baseball. And we'll see where Florida State's head's at for that series. It's an important series. We're getting down to it. You look around at the rankings of teams in Division I baseball and where we're at. This is a big stretch of baseball for Florida State because you got the Clemson series after that, and they're really good. And, I got to be honest with you. Most years I would circle a different series as the one that I want to win the most. Not this year. I want to win that series against Clemson. I knew we were going to win the series against Miami, and they made that a little bit more difficult than we would have liked. But it's Clemson after that nonsense buffoonery they've got going on at their stadium. Welcome them in here. There's nothing we can do to retaliate other than win, because I wouldn't want us to operate our stadium the way that they embarrass themselves and operate theirs. For those that forget the rave that takes place during Florida State or anybody else in the ACC traveling to play baseball games at Clemson. So I'm really, plus that's a big series. Now that's, again, after the Louisville series. So we still have a little ways to go there.
Just looking at some of the things they could potentially do schedule-wise, I don't know if it's viable because you'd have to work with Jacksonville on this. But they have played games. Again, I think they've made them up during exams week before. So you could maybe move Jacksonville into that week, and that frees you up an opportunity to midweek it with somebody else. It doesn't necessarily have to be Virginia, but I don't know that Link is going to be aggressive on that front. It seemed like 11 was quite aggressive. If we were missing a game, we'll make up a game somewhere. I don't know. Link might be fine with it. So we'll see what they decide. It's much like the football program. Like, do you want to? It would stand to reason that maybe you'd like some more opportunities to bolster RPI and give yourself a little bit more. But with the pitching staff the way it is, maybe you don't want to add a couple of midweeks because these are all very important ACC weekends upcoming. Louisville and Clemson. Then you have to go all the way out to California to play Cal. You've got North Carolina as well. So there's a lot of important games here upcoming.
Yeah, huge. And listen, this team righted the ship. Lest we forget, as things wound down last week, Florida State kind of obviously got it together. And after that stretch of games against Wake Forest where they eked out the win 5-4 and then got bludgeoned 12-0 and 17-2. We were a little distraught, a little disheveled. Got to get it together. Looked like we had a tough weekend. Needed to button up here. And the Florida game was a loss, so it seemed to add to the misery. But I actually thought, again, the approach in the Florida game was not the end of the world. And then, of course, you have you come back and you win the Virginia Tech series on the road. That's a ranked Virginia Tech team that you go to Blacksburg, and your pitching staff is spectacular. Your starters, your aces, your horses ended up pitching like they're described as aces and horses. They were very good. They gave up 1 run in the first game of a doubleheader, 1 run in the second game of a doubleheader in which you dropped the 12 spot on their ass, and then you won 4-2. Your bullpen was good. Then you win a game 19-0 and run roll USF and a bludgeoning at Hauser. So Florida State had kind of turned the corner after that little stretch where you go, oh, hey, what's going on here? Bats came alive. Pitching was really, really good. If you think about the last 4 times you've seen, actually, yeah, you want to go back. The last 4 times you've seen Florida State's pitching, you've seen them give up 1 run, 2 runs, no runs. Okay, then. You can win a lot of games doing that.
Well, and if you handle, let's just say, 3 out of the next 4 weekend series, you take 2 out of 3 in each of those instances, you should have your RPI
where you need it
climb back up into definite national seed status, top 16 wise, and then borderline top 8 national seed status. But a lot of work still to be done. This has been an interesting team. Last year's team was a revelation. This year's team has been interesting and good, but this is not. It's been more in doubt for this group this year. So I'm sure they're minus money, big favorite to host a regional, but we want to see if they can climb all the way back up there, go get a top 8 seed.
You've got top tier when it pitches well, frontline pitching. If you have that, there is always a chance for you to win and win significantly late in the year and into the postseason. So I know that we've seen enough cracks in the armor to suggest this isn't a great team, but we've seen enough successes to suggest that it's a good team, very good team capable of winning big series, and that's what we'll be looking for. I do have to take the time to at least acknowledge what's going on with women's golf and winning the ACC tournament. I'll do it in a second. It won't be a long segment, but we certainly will mention what they have in place and why Tom and I think they could win the national championship. It's a distinct possibility. Ooh, I'm for winning national championships around here, guys.
If you've got the #1 collegiate player and the #1 international amateur in the world on the same team, and they're not the same person.
That's nice.
That's as good a 1-2 punch as you're going to get.
Let's go. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 85 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 63. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 88 and foggy early tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 80 degrees.
Roofing and construction services. T-Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Listen up, Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. So let's do it again and get vaccinated. We're times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults under 50. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com to schedule. Sponsored by Pfizer.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Jeff.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So the men will compete for the ACC championship in golf later this week. And the women just did over the weekend and won it. The ACC championship, that is. And that's a big deal because much to my chagrin, Tom, I would, if you had told me before this past week, do you know that the women have never won the ACC championship in golf? I would have said, you're crazy. Surely they have somewhere along the way. They've had a lot of good players go through there, but they haven't. So they secure their first ever, and they do it on a day in which Lottie Woad loses a match, and she just doesn't. So that is, and it was 2-1. It was a great match. But it's golf. The other guys are on scholarship too. Gals, in this case, are on scholarship too, as I say. So you needed Maribel Ting to do what she did, which was boat race, and did. But then you needed young players to step up on the 18th hole and get wins, and they did as well. And you're talking about a freshman, and I was thinking about this, like, what was I doing when I was a freshman? Well, I was at FSU, but I wasn't trying to sink putts to win a conference championship on the 18th hole. My hands would be shaking. I'd have no chance. So Alexandra Gazzoli sinks the final putt of the tournament on hole number 18 to give Florida State a 3-2 win over Wake Forest, doing some things as a true freshman. That is absolutely huge. And then you had a senior captain come through for you as well, Kayla Williams, and she gets a win as well. So Florida State overcomes a 2-1 deficit, wins at 3-2, and secures the ACC championship. So I'm just wanting to say congratulations to them, and congratulations to Amy Bond, who we've had on the show before.
Yeah, the whole thing is you got to play a lot of stroke play golf in order to get down to the match play nitty-gritty for a national championship. But if you can get to that match play portion, which is the portion that is largely televised, you catch a little bit of stroke play.
Here and there, yeah.
But if you can get to that match play portion on Golf Channel for the national championship, and that's the 5 that you roll out at Florida State, you got young players and veterans that can contribute and win you big matches against top-flight opponents for the ACC, independent of the fact that you've got number 1 ranked collegiate player in the world, in the United States, and then number 1 amateur in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. That's the ingredients. So they play these things at the same site, and they stagger them by a couple of days so that, the women finish up as the men get going for the national championships on Golf Channel. Florida State could be very well featured for several days of national championship coverage. That's always a favorite of mine because it's primetime golf in daylight savings time. Just be on the lookout for that in a few weeks. They still have to earn their way through regionals and supers, respectively. Florida State is hosting a regional for men's golf this year in about 3 weeks' time over at Legacy, and that will be free to attend. I highly recommend y'all do.
It's so cool because you're guaranteed to be watching some future pros.
At least one.
Well, certainly at least one who has his card. But yes, you're likely to see some others that will someday be winning on tour. Speaking of which, just may have mentioned that you saw a significant putt in extra holes over the weekend. I don't know how many of you were tuned in. No doubt some of you were as invested as I was, hoping that yet again I could take home the outright winner of a tournament. And I did. So thanks for asking, everybody. Did have Justin Thomas to win. Saw the 8-foot putt that Novak missed, and have never cheered loudly for a random RBC result. But when Novak missed the 8-footer, I went, it's a shame, buddy.
Now,
suck it.
Yes, you would root for somebody named Novak to miss a putt in a major to pave the way for an all-time great to win a major.
Sure.
Because you do not like the little guy when it comes to the majors.
Not unless it's the beginning of something great. Like if Ludwig is going to win one here soon, you're like, well, he probably would have win 4 or 5 more of those. Yeah.
But if Novak had a 6-footer to force a playoff with Ludwig in the PGA Championship at Oak Quail.
No, you got to miss that.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, get the hell up out of here, sir.
But at the RBC, I think you're an everyman. You do like the everyman to get that first win. They start weeping. Their life changes.
Typically.
Except not yesterday.
Not yesterday, sir. No, and it was a 20-footer that Justin had to drain and did, and I don't know why. A calmness came over me, Tom. I felt very much like he was going to make that putt.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it's
know.
the RBC and not a major.
Yeah, well, I thought he's got 2 majors. I thought to myself, I wonder, let's see what happens here. And, of course, he drained it. Center of the cup, perfect speed. I don't know if I did that, if I somehow projected that confidence in him. It was probably that he saw Novak miss an 8-foot putt. It's like, I got nothing to lose here. Let's go. But he gets the win, and we're on a roll. That's all I'm saying. We're on a little bit of a roll this golf season, kids. Novak's the kind of guy I would have bet on going into something like the RBC if I hadn't bet on Justin. There's a weird set of records that Justin Thomas holds, by the way. I mean, he's got like the low round at like 9 courses on the PGA Tour.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was known for a couple of years as the Hawaiian specialist, because when they would play the Sony out there, he was always a January and February warrior. We're like, well, who the hell is this guy? And it took about a year for it to materialize into
other places,
big-time wins on big-time courses. But he's never been afraid to go low.
No, he's got 61s and 62s at several courses. It's silly. He shot a 61 playing with Tiger one time. It's like, well, good Lord, man. I mean, he's out there doing some things.
Well, and I didn't see the putt on Thursday, but apparently it was very makeable to shoot 60.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he could have shot.
A little guy.
Yeah. No, that was something to behold. Always fun to win a little pizza money on the golf. So my wife said, you weren't this invested last week with Rory. I was like, well, I was, but I wasn't winning money on
as invested. Yes, you were invested, but not invested.
She was like, you are locked in on the RBC. What gives? I'm like, I just looked at her like, what do you think? She's like, okay, I guess we're rooting for Justin. Yes, we are rooting for Justin.
I had a cold snap this weekend, Toronto, Ottawa. If they're going to officiate playoff games like they do regular season games, never take it under, people. Never.
Oh, man.
What the hell are we doing here?
Well, they pretty much, I didn't see.
So St. Louis, Winnipeg was the same way. Every time I would flip back and forth, I'd watch either the golf or some baseball, more likely the baseball.
Proud of your Mets this weekend.
Hey, a little 4-game sweepity-doo.
Just sweepity-doo with the Cardinals is always enjoyable.
Everybody's on a power play. Like the whole game? Is that what we do now in the playoffs? Whole game's a power play? Awesome. Great.
We got to bridge the gap from where we are right now in Florida State's, athletics endeavors and where we are with the pros playoffs and things getting like the draft this Thursday. It's a tough gap to close there because your attention span's all over the place, but the way they spread out the NHL playoffs is a bit of a mess. And we obviously the Lightning and the Panthers don't play until tomorrow, and then it's on. Then I feel like the playoffs started finally because the Lightning and the Panthers will play. Also, I don't know when the NHL will wake up and not do this. You don't need 2 and 3 playing each other in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Why we need to go back to a normal seeding. 1-8, 2-7, 3. What are we doing?
Well, they wanted to guarantee that rivalries actually happened and they didn't pass each other like ships in the night. And they've guaranteed it, but at great cost for the quality of the conference finals and the cup finals.
Yeah, the silliness. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't have 2 of the best teams in the sport playing each other in the first round if it's not naturally aligned.
Yeah, could you imagine? Yeah, if Kansas City Buffalo was a wild card game because of some NFL seeding rule.
Well, no, it's not. It's not ideal. This Thursday, if you're a draft junkie, kind of interested like we are, you can join us at Corner Pocket. It's kind of an unofficial event. We're just going to go over there and hang out and watch the first round.
Game 2 of the Lightning Panthers will be on. Yeah.
So you got all the usages of the Vegas wall because you'll have baseball games on, you'll have the NBA playoffs on. You'll have the NHL playoffs on, and you'll have the draft. So it's a good use.
It is. I may be a bit of a hermit while the playoff game's going on. I'm putting that out there in advance. Sorry, folks, if I just give you the thumbs up and I turn back around. Because I might go to the corner.
Well, you'll be locked in. I'll be locked in. I mean, I got it. But, they have intermission.
They do have intermission. That's wonderful.
2 of them.
2 of them.
So you got plenty of time.
Sometimes 3, sometimes 4.
Don't start with that. But yes. I mean, you got time. And look,
it starts at 6:30 on Thursday too, which is nice. That they're trying to get out the way.
Yeah.
For the NFL, smart.
That's smart. By the way, it doesn't look like we're going to get much in the way of anything weird here. Cam Ward looking to go number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. Cleveland's going to take Travis Hunter, or so we think. You've seen some folks throw out some smoke screens, but it's not looking like we're going to get a real shakeup here. If you're the Giants, I got to believe that you feel like you've got a gift handed to you here drafting 3rd. It's Abdul Carter. And you may have just gotten the best player in the draft at 3. Well, that'll work. And even if you decide to go a different direction, I mean, you can entertain a lot of phone calls at this point.
They're taking Shedeur at 3.
They are not doing that.
Book it. It's the Giants.
They're not doing that.
They laughed at the Jets for decades for making picks like this, only for them to make picks like that.
They're not going to do that. Abdul Carter is a bit of a freak. I can't imagine they would go anywhere else unless they went Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU, or something like that. If you want to bolster off, or Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
Genty. They're going to go Sanders or Genty.
Oh, my Lord. The Jags are going to, hey, listen, if you're a Jags fan right now, you know, you've been a little frustrated. It's been tough, but you should be able to grab a Mason Graham or a Will Campbell. You're going to be all right.
That's like their motto. That's their team crest. We've been a little frustrated.
A little frustration?
Yeah.
A little frustration, but I think you get kind of so this draft, for those that haven't been reading up on what scouts and now listen, guys get things wrong all the time. There's always the caveat that you got to throw out there that they get guys wrong all the time. Who knows? Maybe Cam Ward ends up being a very good NFL quarterback. Maybe Shedeur Sanders down the road, he goes 9 to New Orleans, let's say, could end up being a good quarterback. Everybody's got an opinion that he won't be or he will be. That's fine. We understand that. From the grading standpoint, where they project what a player is based on grades, this is one of the weaker first rounds, especially at quarterback, in a very long time. Listen, there are 32 picks that are going to take place. So these guys are going in the first round. Sometimes you go into a draft and the grades suggest there are 17 first-round grades, 24 first-round grades. I've seen as few as 8 going into this first round this year. Collectively, if you take from all of the sites that cover college and pro football, you'll see that this doesn't – it's not a talent-rich, if you want to say, at the skill position draft. Tons of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Which, if you're a team, look, I would always build that way anyhow.
We always go Bucks heavy, but this is a question for all fan bases. If you're outside of the top 10, your opinion, and you trade back, you smiling? Like, do you just have to accept that because there isn't a whole lot of great in this draft? If you have the 11th pick, I don't know who that is. Like
the 49ers.
49ers, okay. And you trade back and you pick up an extra 3rd-round pick, is that automatically a win because there isn't a whole lot of top-heavy this year?
Yeah, I'd have to see what the 49ers are, what they need. I think it's offensive line, and if there's, you've got a few big names of offensive linemen. I mean, Trent Williams is 150 years old. I mean, at some point, you're probably going to have to get another tackle. And even though I love me some Trent Williams, you do too.
I do too.
But, I mean, yeah, I suppose. Look at the Dolphins. They're drafting 13th.
Look at them.
I mean, they're a mess. I don't know. Would they'll go corner for Jalen Ramsey's replacement? Do they trade Ramsey on draft night? Are they able to trade Ramsey on draft night? I mean, I don't know what you're going to get. I don't think you're going to get a first rounder for him. There's a rumor the Bucks want Jalen Ramsey.
There is.
Yes. Yeah, no, not at $21 million, which that deal is in place. No, sir. No, sir, I'm not doing that. And also, with Jalen, I know he's a Knoll, but the bottom line is this. Old Sassy gets upset very quickly. Old Sassy starts spouting off the second something goes wrong, disrupts a locker room, not a great leader, an immense talent. Nobody's ever argued that. Old Sassy's difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't need all that.
No, I think, at the 21 number, they would have to take on some of the money in order to increase the return. I think that would be, if it comes down, Jalen Ramsey has been traded to the Bucks. That's my best limited Schefter. If you get that news and you say, okay, I want to know what the return is and I want to know how much do they retain in salary. Like, you just have to wait because you could see it. It says for this, 47th pick, just as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd say that is way too much. Well, if the Dolphins are keeping $15 million or $10 million of the 20 cap hit, then at that point, maybe you feel okay about it. But you're right. That might be the thing that spices this thing up, other than it being in Green Bay, which I think I totally didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's in Green Bay. That Lambeau.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were a player, I'd prefer New York City, but okay.
Probably so. That economy wins. That local economy wins big time.
Yes.
But yeah, that might be the thing that spices it up, other than the locale, is that maybe you actually get some player trades in the first round.
Well, I'll just say this. Let's say the Bucs didn't trade away their first pick or anything like that, or move down, and they got Jalen Ramsey and turned around and draft the Amenwari kid from South Carolina. All of a sudden, your secondary is Ramsey at one corner, Amenwari at safety. Okay. Well, may have upgraded your secondary quite a bit at that point.
Hey, look, I call out the fix and the hoax that is SEC football and love more than anybody else. But I want to hear a defender from the SEC is who the Buccaneers are drafting on Thursday. I don't care what position. All I care about is give me the position and then tell me it's Alabama or Georgia or South Carolina.
Yeah, because you want Jahad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama.
A little bit.
Well, either one of those two guys works for me. The safety from South Carolina or the Campbell from Alabama, I'm all right with.
Levante David is our Maurice Smith.
But he still plays at a Pro Bowl level until he doesn't. But I mean,
we're gonna need somebody.
No, I agree.
Servassier Dennis might be, but I don't know with the injury last year.
And I so want him to be, because Servassier is one of the great names in professional sports history. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby. I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go. Well, you like remixes, right? Of course. Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby!
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Crescent, Tallahassee.
Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
The NFL draft on Thursday from Green Bay. First round selections. Jacksonville has a 5th pick of the first round. Position of the first player to be drafted. Defensive lineman, edge rusher, the favorite at -130. Running back +280. Offensive lineman is 4-1. Tampa Bay Buccaneers had the 19th pick of the draft. Defensive lineman edge is the favorite there at +150. Linebacker +190. Cornerback is 4-1. Atlanta Braves laying $1.85 against the St. Louis Cardinals today. And the Tampa Bay Lightning open up their playoff series at Florida on Tuesday as $1.12 home favorite. $250 bonus and you open up a G-Bank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
This is the sale you've been waiting for. The Macy's Spring VIP sale is here. Exclusive savings on the season's most loved brands with an extra 30% off Avec La Fille, Karl Lagerfeld, DKNY, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty essentials from MAC, Armani Beauty, and too many others to mention. So get to the Macy's Spring VIP sale now and shop brands you love at prices you'll love even more. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Helen. And this is Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese. I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Now that the brutal North Florida and South Georgia winter is over, okay, we had a couple of cold snaps, but still, now is the best time to give your AC system a good cleaning. Dust can build up in your AC system, leading to higher utility bills and poor air quality. That's when it's E&B to the rescue. Our 21-point inspection and tune-up costs only $99 and gets things working their very best. So before the summer hits, get your AC spick and span. Call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
No matter what printing you need to keep your business running, we can help. Hi, Jason Butera here for The Printery. Reduce your stress and give us a call. From new product brochures or posters to yard signs, postcards, even letterhead and envelopes, The Printery sets the standard in personalized service with outstanding results. We offer full-service graphic design and free pickup and delivery. The Printery, home of 36-cent color copies. If it's ink on paper, we've got it covered. Call us today. 877-6418. 877-6418.
Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I did not have any money one way or the other on the Pope. What is wrong with you guys? What is wrong with you guys?
That was in the chat?
Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right now. Everybody pump the brakes.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's a tough week to come back. Let's be honest. It's a little flat this week because of a devastating turn of events on campus that was a tragedy. It's tough to pivot from that and have any exuberance towards sports, but you have to, and that's what we're going to do. But then on a more pragmatic vantage point, Tom, you didn't have more practices to reflect on, information coming out of those practices, games that Florida State played, and what that means. So you didn't have the series against Virginia. I understand why. That's all reasonable and understandable. It's just tough to, where do you go from here? You got the draft. It's not a particularly sexy draft. I know our audience isn't going to let us talk that much hockey. And so, yeah, I can get into Major League Baseball a little bit here or there, but yeah.
Hey, what do you mean let us? What is this? They won't let us. Nonsense.
Oh, no. I can talk about anything I want for 3 hours, and I always have. Right. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the community as a whole. If you and I do 3 hours of Major League Baseball, that's a click.
I understand that, but listen, I have 36 minutes of Florida-Tampa Bay series prep ready to go.
Well, you know what? After this segment, fire away. I will run and go get a bite to eat. I'm starving to death. I did not get my normal meal in today, and I am feeling it. I got to get some food in me.
Well, okay, so I will. It's Atlantic 2 versus Atlantic 3. The Curious Case of Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Oh,
you guys ready for that?
Yeah, they can't wait. They can't wait. Yeah, listen, I could do 3 hours every day about this football program currently. I mean, you and I do it all the time where we go into different facets of this football program, some of which we're excited about, many more that we're not. And we try to check each other to make sure we're being fair. And, well, now there's this and there's that, and back and forth we go.
Yeah, and I think it's wonderful because we're like a group that is on an island, stranded together.
Mm-hmm.
We take turns panicking, I think, at times.
I don't know about panicking. I think just having
freaking out. Freaking out isn't necessarily panicking, but it's just reminding yourself that you're stuck on the island, and we can't think about that for too long. We both know we're on the island, but we've got to get lost in the day-to-day details
of how to stay alive while we're on the island.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not a terrible analogy. Every now and then one of us goes, but we're on this island.
That's right. I know.
This is terrible.
I know it.
No, what I do.
Here's a coconut.
Yeah, what I do. And what we both do, what you're describing, is what I think a ton of Florida State football fans are doing, is that they want to have very honest dialogue. They want to define the terms of success this year for the head coach, what it looks like, what it has to be in order for him to keep his job, what it can't be, and, all of these things. What happens if this, then this, all these moments where we really do, because I think, first of all, there is this looming, not doom, but this massive undertaking of the offseason, which was to build this football-only facility, upgrade facilities as, on the whole. There was this effort to dramatically improve the stadium. And obviously, that everybody's watching very curiously to see if this gets done properly.
And the Jumbotron. It's good use of 20 mil.
And the Jumbotron to boot.
20
okay. And of course, at the same time, with all that's going on, you're coming off a historically bad season. You make these hires. You have so many different elements of what goes into the larger football discussion of Florida State. And then obviously there was the whole situation about being stuck in this conference and whether or not we were going to get our way against the ACC, and we did. And so the fallout of that and how soon we'll reap the benefits of that. There's just a lot, man. There's a lot to digest there. Not all of it bad, not all of it good. And there are days, and there were days this spring where I thought, well, good on you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. You ought to be unwavering about the standard. You ought to hold kids' feet to the fire. You ought to tell kids to take it on down the road if they're not going to rise to that level of expectation. You ought to try to enforce and then later and find a way to get this team to take over their own locker room, to where you're not imploring people to try hard. It's ridiculous, or to show up, or to do the things necessary for you to have a good, well-run program. Yeah, all of these things I was happy about. Should have happened a little sooner before you went 2-10, but I'm happy about that. And then there's the whole problem of, I think, an overall lack of talent on this team. There's a significant lack of talent by way of comparison to the better programs in America. And every day you're confronted with that, you go, well, okay, so the bar is a little low comparatively to, what Florida State standards has always been. It's a little low. But then you're right to say, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're just going to hammer that every day? I mean, the bottom line is the man's got to go out and win 8 games this year. Do you think he can? And that is up for debate. That is up for debate because, again, I think there's a lack of depth. And while we're losing some players in the portal, many of whom I don't really care about, I didn't think that they were going to make the difference between winning 8 games or not. I do worry about, certainly, the lack of depth. If they have injuries, I think they're in real trouble.
Yeah, this is like one of those daring escape acts for a magician. He's right now, he's in a straitjacket, and he's got a 300-pound weight around his ankles, and he's sinking to the bottom of some body of water. And for my first step to get out of this, the straitjacket we got to free ourselves from, and then we'll remove the weight at our ankles. But you got that 8-win season, that successful bounce-back season. You need to be lucky and healthy and good. A combination of those 3 things in order to get to that level. But that's only the beginning of the escape act. This is what 2-10 did to you.
Yes.
Is it created a multi-year escape job in order to be able to be back where you were at kickoff in Dublin. Like, that's how far you've fallen from the toe meeting leather in Dublin in the Aer Lingus Classic. It's going to take 2 years, because even if you succeed this year, all of those veterans that you have on this roster, 80% of them are going to be gone. 90% of them are going to be gone. Offensive line transfers. We'll see if Castellanos, there's debate about, the second year. Would he use the second year? Does he even have a second year of eligibility at Florida State? If Deuce Robinson has a good year, sayonara. James Williams, same thing. This
let's hope
Jackson's
they have the
final
kind
go.
of years to get them drafted in the first 2 rounds.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Not Castellanos. You got 0 chance to get drafted. But yeah.
But this is the first step for so many of those guys, and you're going to lose a lot of them. And so you're going to have to reload on the fly, use the portal again, and hope some of these young kids, these high school kids, hit to get part 2 of this thing done. And you might lose a coordinator along the way. So there's just so much before you. You've got to do the first thing first before you can do the second thing. If you can't get out the straitjacket, then it's moot about you removing the weight around your ankle and as you're sinking, because you're done. But what he's created for himself is a multi-step process here, and this is only the beginning.
It's a soap opera, but I don't worry about the second chapter. I worry about this chapter, this opening chapter here,
right.
Or if you'd like, call this the second chapter, whatever you want to do. But this is the one that I care about. This has to keep my attention, so I keep reading the book. This is the one where you're going, all right now, man, I'm waiting. There were some things early in the book that I liked. Been some stuff here where I feel like we've gotten a little wordy, a little wayward. You lost the plot on me here. This chapter better bring me back around, or else we're moving on to a new book, because life's short. I don't have time for this nonsense. Yeah, that's where he's at. He's in a desperate situation. I think he's acted accordingly in spring camp, and I'm fine with that. He should be a desperate man. He has to be a desperate man at this point. He knows his job is on the line, period. There's no getting around that. And it's not negative to say it. That's a reality of the situation.
Short of us having oil money and doing what Texas Tech did, I mean, I think this is about as much as you can do with 2-10 to put yourself in a position to bounce back.
Well,
am I saying it's the right path? I don't know. We'll find out.
Just raises the floor, yeah.
But all the moves that he made, given the circumstance that that he put us in, and let me change the way. I don't want to passively word that.
Right.
The situation that he put us in, this is about as much as he can do to salvage his career here, and maybe he will.
I hope he does. One of the things that's interesting is you'll see, I'll go check every now and then just to see where folks are from a recruiting standpoint on the message boards. You have your diehard recruitniks. That's, that they're there weighing in on certain players they'd like to see come in. And then Michael Langston and Matt Lasser and others, they'll rank like, visitors for the weekend. I'll just familiarize myself with the names to see who's coming in, who's not. And then I'll go check the player. In some cases, I might even check, his huddle tape, whatever it might be. But with a lot of others, I just look and see, who are we going up against for this particular player? Because frankly, if you're going to try to recruit, let's say, a top-notch receiver, Wingo, somebody like that, okay, you're going to go try to get a top-notch receiver, you can save yourself the angst and frustration and know you're not going to get him. You're not going to get him. Don't get your hopes up. You get zero chance to get him. None. You're not going to get him. You can't get him. You just went 2-10. Your offense sucked historically. You just brought in a coach that isn't really featuring an offense that a lot of quarterbacks and receivers love. So you're just not going to get that kid. And I wouldn't waste my time worrying about trying to get that kid. You ain't getting him. Now, that makes your life a lot easier when you go into the weekend. Don't care if he's visiting or not, because we're not getting him. We're not going to get him. Now, if he's a running back, you might get him. If he's an offensive lineman, you might get him. Anybody on the defensive side of the ball, you might get him. Tight end, you might get him. You might get all of the other positions. But let's just figure on if he's a wide receiver and certainly a quarterback that has any semblance of, consistently throwing the ball in high school, probably not going to get him. So I don't worry about it. I know that's going to be the result. That might change based on this year. If they go win 8 games and the offense is prolific and some receiver, let's say it's Deuce Robinson, does light it up and greatly improve his draft stock. And in fact, to your point, has the kind of season where he gets drafted in the first couple of rounds, he's so good. Now you can begin to maybe shift thoughts on what you are or are not. But in the interim, off of 2-10, with the hires that you brought in, you got very little chance to convince a top-notch receiver to come to Florida State.
No, you'd have to have shot play after shot play that you hit against both Alabama and Miami, because you would need to make that impression by the middle of October to have any hope to flip the kid. And even if that didn't happen, and Deuce had a 950-yard season with a lot of touchdowns, a lot of explosive plays, that helps you for the portal next year. Like, that's one thing where if you do have a successful season in some key areas and you're going to need to replenish, then this becomes a portal destination again. That's the positive side to this. If you can do that first thing, the first of the multi-step process of escape, and Gus's offense looks really good, it runs the ball well, and they do everything he says they're going to do. So they run the ball well, and they take deep shots. If both of those things work, and kids see that 4 or 5 offensive linemen are gone out of the top 6 here, well, now you become a place that they call first when they enter their name into the portal. They're saying, "Hey, Gus, I saw what you did with Medley. I saw what you did with Gunnar Hansen. I saw what you did with Pettibone. What can you do for me?" But you've got to go there this 12-game season and not be awful. You got to be good.
And 8-4 is the lowest bar that I would set. I think I'm telling you what I would do.
If you're looking for people to want to come here out of the portal, you got to go at least
far. And even then, I mean, listen, that's where I don't have an awful lot of patience. I mean, we've already had to lower the standard here a little bit in order to kind of not have to move on financially from a massive investment in what would be a huge hit before we're in a place where we're at or on equal footing to those we seek to compete with financially, right? We're not in the SEC or the Big Ten yet. So I get why you're hesitant to do it, but there's that sliding scale there. And I would just tell you, if with this schedule where you have 2 automatic wins, okay, so that's the second and third game. So you're really talking about a 10-game schedule. And I'm asking you, well.
You're asking for 6. 6-4.
I'm asking you to win 6 games and not get embarrassed in the others. But yes, I'm asking you to win 6 games. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know it. And I see some folks in the chat right now that are saying, well, Mike's not the guy. Well, okay, you know what? Then come back in 7 months. No, I mean, like, what's the point? Like, it's like to your point about the receiver. If you don't waste your time, come back later, because we're going to have to live it. Mike's going to have to live this next 7-8 months, and we'll see how he does. But he's an underdog to do it. I think we all agree with that. He's an underdog to be able to escape this particular predicament that he put himself in after 2-10. He might do it, though. So it's worth documenting.
Steve says, does Mike keep his job with anything less than 8-4 in your opinion? I've kicked this around a little bit because I would fire him at anything less than 8-4. I would. If he was 7-5 with this schedule, I'd fire him. 6-6 is a no-brainer. I fire him. Obviously, anything worse than that, you're fired. 8-4. I'm not enamored, but yeah, you probably survive another year. What I think they'll do is different than what I would do. If he goes 8-4, he's not going to get fired.
Well, yeah, I think that's the frustration that we remind ourselves of each other on the desert island here, is that the program is in a state right now of survival. We're not trying to thrive. We're trying to survive right now so that we can thrive with the same head coach in the near to medium term. That's the unfortunate reality of this year.
It's a weird thing to describe a program that isn't fighting like hell to be, at all times, aspiring to be elite. And I know what you're saying, but I think they are trying. They're just handcuffed by the previous failure. They can't be elite because you can't get the elite of the elite to commit right now based on where the program's stature is at.
Right.
But you should always be aspiring to that level of elite that we pretty much hold as the standard.
In order to get there, I got to do this is the problem. Like that's what I'm coming back to with the multi-prong thing. It's worth documenting because he might be able to pull it off. It's just, I don't think you can go from 12-0 to 2-10 to 11-1.
No,
you've got to be able to, you got to step up and survive this year to try and thrive next. But that's what this year is about. Now, can you make some noise while you do it? Could you go 8-4, have a bad loss, but then beat Alabama or Miami or Florida or Clemson? Because that's a very different 8-4 than an 8-4 that sees you go over against that quartet of opponents.
You're correct. I mean, look at the way Florida's season ended. They still had 5 losses, which any given year in Gainesville is not the standard. But the way that they finished 7-5 and the games they won late with an up-and-coming quarterback and what was a brutal schedule in a much more difficult league than ours, they felt good about 7-5. But you would not feel good about 7-5 given this schedule in this league, especially since it was just over a year ago that you were, 12-0 in the regular season. So, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You're right. It would be weird. Like, let's say you got blown out by Alabama. Not a good look. You win a few games in a row. So the 2 gift games that you have on the schedule followed by a Friday night at Virginia. Now you get the Miami game, Tom. And if all of a sudden you win that game, you would see an uptick in hope. And what if you did win a game against Clemson, but somehow stumbled against, Stanford or Pitt? But you beat Florida at the end of the year, and you had a loss to Virginia Tech, and it's a convoluted mess, but you had the right wins, meaning Miami, Clemson, and Florida.
Yeah, that's a weird 8-4.
It'd be a crazy 8-4, but I bet a lot of people would feel pretty good about that 8-4 because those would be high-profile wins and against teams you hate.
You would describe that team as feisty. That's a feisty 8-4.
And inconsistent. Guys. You would say, yeah. You would also say that they're wildly inconsistent.
You're just watching a guy who's never lifted this much weight in his life try and lift for the Olympic gold. And you're like, his body may break before he gets this thing off the ground. I'm not sure.
Oh, my goodness. Shannon Young has made a move to be part of the nation's largest mortgage company now with Cross Country Mortgage. Saw Shannon at the golf tournament. Appreciate his sponsorship and his friendship and the work that he does for all the folks that reach out to him via loansforknowles.com, where you get better rates, better options, stronger support, faster response. In fact, just found out from Shannon at the golf tournament, a guy just did that after hearing this ad, and boom, they got it done. And I was really pleased about that. Knowles helping Knowles right there. Loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com. Hey, Knoll fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I thought swing, bottom. Cooling the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up some fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
News coming in. We figured it would be over the next few days, and you'll find out which guys are sticking around and which guys are taking it on down the road for Florida State. And we've added to the list. It looks like Ferguson will add to those that have decided to put their name into the portal. You lose a guard there and a guy that I think you'd like as a backup, certainly. Not a guy you were expecting to start necessarily. So
I know Ira's coming on to discuss that, but this one, okay. I mean, there was a big drop off last year when he came in the game. Unfortunately, I thought he looked okay in spring, especially in the showcase. But Richie Leonard was the better of the two SEC transfer guards that we brought in.
Richie Leonard was better. He got hurt, but he was better. Yeah.
But by leaps and bounds, when both were healthy, Leonard was the guy. They have some options at guard. You said even Bryson Estes had his moments to at least what you saw in limited time.
I said that he was playing quite a bit at the scrimmage. Now, they were missing a lot of guys, and he got time at center. He got time at guard. So I don't know. You know, he's a guy that he's always been a guy that was strong. He was not one of the previous offensive lines coach favorite guys, I don't think. And so we'll see. I mean, Florida State is clearly going to have to go add some depth pieces. Let's talk to Ira about that right now. In fact, Ira Schfel, Warchant.com, joins us now on the show. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, my kids picked the right one to go to, man. I didn't go to yesterday's game.
No kidding. They definitely picked the right one. Yeah.
Did you watch any of the 24 runs?
I watched almost every out of the 24 run.
Woo! Were you just wanting to see a record? What was
what was going to happen next, man? Like, it was like driving by an accident. Because I knew we had no pen in that game anyway. Like at the press conference the day before, nobody wants to hear this. Press conference the day before, Brendan Hyde literally challenged Charlie Morton. He's like, "Hey, man, we have no pen. We need you to." When he gets knocked out in the third, I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait to see where this goes." And then, sure enough, we have a backup shortstop, and a backup catcher pitching the last 2 innings. It was awesome.
At least you're good-spirited about it. Okay, so should Florida State fans, I'm asking your opinion here, be nervous, or are the guys that have announced that they're leaving? And we'll tackle these. We can go one by one if you want, or you can just go big picture and you can go down the line. I know one of them leaving is less about leaving and more about being told to have a good day after an arrest. The rest of these guys are choosing to enter into the portal. Does this draw some concern from you, or are you saying, this seems about right, what we were expecting in terms of teams, players being weeded out of here?
Yeah, overall, I think it's about right. I think we need to come up with a system, though, like 1 alarm, 2 alarm, 3 alarm, 4 alarm, or something, some sort of code.
Okay.
Classify these guys because, I mean, TJ Ferguson is a guy you'd rather stay on your roster. You're going to need somebody like him. You're going to need somebody who's, played college football, can be a backup offensive lineman. You wouldn't feel like it's the end of the world if he has to go in there, but he's also not a guy where, you feel like, oh no, what are we going to do now? Aaron Hester was a guy that also went in the portal today, defensive end, that I think was a guy that, there was some hope maybe last year that he would be maybe a situational pass rusher that could help a little bit. But I think the change in scheme probably did him in. He's 6'2", 240 pounds. I'm not really sure where that lines up without great athletic ability, where that lines up in this defensive system. So there's some things like that. Hakeem Williams is the guy you'd probably rather have on your team than not have on your team because there's potential there, but it's also not like a game breaker. So, I think for the most part, knock on wood, I think they've dodged any of the 3 or 4 alarm losses, but you do have to have depth pieces, and they're losing some of them.
I think they got to be angry with the situation regarding Jaylen Brown. You could tell that Mike really wanted him to turn the corner and get it right, probably because they don't have a ton of speed, game-breaking speed, and he does possess that. Now, again, he hadn't done much here at all, and it was the hope that this spring you'd see him take a step forward, but alas, it doesn't happen. He's arrested and dismissed summarily. Does that one, in your mind, hurt this core, and does that mean that Florida State now has to go out and get a receiver?
Yeah, I mean, I think the combination of those two for sure. You at least need to go get one, probably need to get 2 receivers, depending on what's happening with the rest of that group. But Jaylen Brown's an unfortunate one because, to your point, it was like a week or 2 ago, FSU had FSU Day at the Capitol, and they sent 3 or 4 players over there, and Jaylen Brown's one of them. That he was over there with, some of the other players doing the good community gestures and all that, and I think they were hoping that he would be part of, the future of the program. But my guess is how quickly that dismissal came following the arrest. My guess is it was not his first strike. And so, they're moving on because other guys have been arrested in the past and not been dismissed that quickly. So, that's a loss because of the speed. Again, it's a guy that, somebody asked on the message boards, why did Mike Norvell let him stay around past last season? Because there were some concerns last season. I'm like, yeah, well, he runs fast.
Yeah.
The guys that run fast get more chances than the guys that don't run fast. So, that's a loss. And, yeah, they're definitely got to pick up 1 or 2 receivers.
I always love boiling it down to its essence, right? There you go, Ira. That's the best way to describe it. It's always been that way for every coach at every level. Oh, my starting tailback was just arrested for assault. Why haven't my team, in place your team here, why haven't they let him go? Well, he rushed for 1,700 yards last year is why they have not let him go. That's exactly why. Yeah, frustration. Florida State fans feel like, I think right about now, until we start hearing names that they're bringing in, that there's just not enough quality players here and not enough depth. I'd say that's probably pretty accurate if your expectation is anything close to a 9 or 10 win season. However, we don't know that this is the end. I mean, there will probably, what do you think, a couple more players will enter, and how many will they, do you think, bring in?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because I thought the number, last week we talked about it on headlines, and I think I said the number of guys leaving was probably 6 or 7, maybe in that ballpark, and now we're already there.
Yeah.
I think they're at 7 already. So it's going to go well over that number, I think. And, part of it is, listen, man, it's the end of the spring. We know what's happening. It's happening at Florida State. It's happening on a lot of campuses. You have renegotiations going on, and players who are saying, okay, well, now this is what I want to stay. And then the school can say, yes, that's something we're willing to part with, or we're not. And so, you really, I don't know if anything's set in stone until the portal is closed. That, for example, typically at the end of spring practice, and unfortunately spring practice is over after what happened last Thursday, usually we would start rolling out pieces on, okay, this is what this position looks like now. This is what this position looks like now that we've seen a spring. You can't do that right now, because this portal you have to get through this portal. So we really don't know for sure, and how many they add will likely to be dependent on how many they lose. But the answer to that could come much later, because the portal closes for people going in, but FSU could be signing players for another month or more. So, you're not going to get the other side of it probably as quickly as fans want to see, but rest assured, there are players out there. Florida State will get players. Maybe, we'll see if they can get the kind of players that FSU fans want or not.
So let's go back to something you just said there. That's confirmation of something I wondered aloud on to start the show. They are not going to try to make up the days lost due to the tragedy?
No, from everything I've told, they're not. Yeah, they basically, that was the end of spring football. Yeah.
That's tough, because one of those, if I'm not mistaken, might have been scrimmage-esque, right?
Yeah, so there was one helmets-only practice, no pads. So that was going to be, it's not the end of the world to lose that. But, yeah, they were supposed to scrimmage on Saturday. And from what I was told, that it was shut down. So, there's no good decisions in some of these.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those unfortunate things, honestly. And you hate to even talk about this because of, the tragedy. But, it also hurt them in recruiting, because this was going to be a big weekend where a lot of recruits were coming onto campus. And a lot of those visits all got canceled as well. So now, obviously, that's not anywhere on the list of concerns after something like that. But, for the fan base, for the football people that care about Florida State football and will care about them 2 or 3 months from now, those visits could have been important in terms of setting up official visits in the next step of the process.
Ira, a couple questions here. I don't know if you have an answer for this, but will the baseball team honestly be able to make up those 3 games against Virginia? It feels like something they're not going to make up to me.
Yeah, it's hard to see it on the schedule. I haven't gone too far into detail in it, but I just glancing at it quickly, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to make those up. I guess theoretically you could do something later in the season, maybe if there's a little bit of a break, try to do something midweek. But I have a feeling right now. I mean, we'll hear more tomorrow. We'll talk to Link at the baseball game. They play Stetson tomorrow at 5:00. That should be an interesting. I'm curious to see how the environment is at that game. Do a lot of students come to that game as a chance to kind of gather around each other?
Right.
And that game now is going to be on ACC Network at 5:00. But we'll talk to Link then and see if there's any headway there. But my guess is right now it looks like that would be hard to make up.
Yeah, it seems like that'll be an emotional game. I hope it is a chance to bond with people coming together, both on campus, in the community, and coming out to support Florida State baseball and everything else involving Florida State. All right, I would be not doing my due diligence here, Ira. You did a good piece on warchant.com. Let's take a breath and you tell me everything there is to know about all of these players that are now going to be playing basketball for Florida State. Because every day I look up, I see you're announcing somebody new. Luke Laux has done some serious filling here as of late. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but the sense I'm getting is he's not half-stepping when it comes to guys that he wants to come in, bring in here, and that is guys that can freaking shoot.
There's definitely an emphasis on being able to shoot the basketball.
Yes.
I think most people would be fine with. Listen, I mean, I think he's done a really nice job. It's no secret. You've talked about it. We've all talked about it. Florida State is not, and Luke talked about it, his introductory press conference, maybe the first time in the history of introductory press conferences, a head coach said, I'm not trying to get the top NIL guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, look, we're not. So, they've done a really nice job. They picked up a lot of nice pieces. I think Robert McCray from Jacksonville University scored 16, 18 points a game the last 2 years. I really like the Steen kid at Florida Southern, a Division II player.
Yep.
6'8", 245. The LeJay Jones from St. Bonaventure. They've got some really nice pieces they're bringing in. Now, again, if you look at some of the other schools around the country, the Kentuckys, the Indianas, the BYUs, they're getting a different level of player. But I do think what you see is that Luke is bringing in players that should fit his system. He wants to play a very up and down style. He wants to get after it. He wants to shoot the three. And so, he's made no qualms about it. His three favorite shots are the three-pointer, the layup, or shot at the rim, and a free throw. Well, these are guys that can do that. They've got some guys who can slash. They've got some guys who can shoot the three, and they've got guys who can shoot it all, which is what you want to see at the free throw line. So I think he's going to have a good roster for he's got 10 players now. I think it's going to be a good roster for what he plans to do. But again, I don't know what the ceiling is, because again, he's not fishing from the same pond that where Florida State was fishing from 5 or 6 years ago.
I do think it's exciting to see, and you just named a bunch of them, but here you go. Senior, sophomore, senior. I mean, they got a lot of experienced college basketball players that he's brought in. Guys that, like you said, I mean, you got a kid from Clemson, you got a kid from St. Bonaventure, you got a kid from Drexel, kid from UMass, JU. These are kids that have played a ton of basketball, so you know what they've done in the college game, and many of them can really shoot it. So I think if you're a fan going to these games, you say, yeah, we're not competing right now with the creme de la creme of college basketball. Those rosters are over $10 million a piece. But we're going to have a fun brand of basketball that we watch. And I think they got a chance to have the kind of season where, let's say they're fun to watch and they make the dance in year one, and all of a sudden there's investment, there's expectation, and there's enthusiasm from the next round of transfers he's going to have to bring in.
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. And listen, and I think the number one thing I want to see, and I think a lot of fans want to see, especially the diehard fans who come, no matter whether the record is 15-15 or the record is 25-5, is it's been a while, man, since we've seen a Florida State team that really played together, that loved each other, that played hard together. And so, as you said, you bring in all these seniors from different schools, you bring in a bunch of players that there's only 2 returning players on this roster. How quickly can Luke Laux and this staff get these guys to buy in, to be all together, to play hard together, to play for each other? Because even last year when they won some important games, and they did win some big games, you never felt like it was a really connected team. And so I'd love to see that. I think that can lift your record even higher than maybe it should be on paper. And I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about with a new staff, whether it's Luke and this staff or whether it's a different staff, just a new staff that maybe can cultivate that. Because, man, Leonard Hamilton had that in spades. They did an unbelievable job in that for probably 15 years. But these last few years, it hasn't been there. So that's one thing I think Luke, really needs to. That has to be priority number one.
Got the smash tonight, brother?
I think so. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we'll be tuned in at 7 o'clock. Be good, brother. Always appreciate you joining us, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yep. Take care. IrishFL, Warchant.com. Tom, we didn't talk about the Jim Moran hire from the Sacramento Kings. You go back and look. He was an assistant coach with the Detroit Pistons. He was an assistant coach with the Portland Trail Blazers. He was an assistant coach with Mike Brown with the Sacramento Kings, as was obviously Luke Laux. It's interesting. He's got all kinds of ties, both to two things. They're ties to the state of Florida in a lot of cases, right? Guys that have done a good job recruiting the state, developing, understanding talent, the high school ranks in the state, and then a ton of NBA guys too. And so all of a sudden you're kind of like, all right, I see the vision. I mean, I can clearly see the vision. We'll see if it works, but I like that there's an obvious plan.
There is an obvious plan, and it's, yes, you have to develop kids into, I'm going to develop you more efficiently than most other programs in the country because I know exactly what the NBA wants, and I've got 2 ways of telling you what the NBA wants, through coaching experience and then through my assistant general manager, Terrence Mann, who can tell you what people want inside those locker rooms, and he can show you the drills himself about things that he works on in a given practice. So there's the appeal on one side, is that this is going to be a factory. And then on the other side, it's, yeah, he's going to approach it by, I'm not going to get Cooper Flag or the next 50 kids in the country ranked after Cooper Flag. So how am I going to get to a roster that wins 22, 23 games with different pieces? And how am I going to do it with an NIL budget that's half of my competitors? Well, I've got to tier the system. So I'm going to have a couple kids I pay a lot. Most kids I pay a little bit. Some kids I pay none. But it's just they have it what it looks like to be a binder, much like the PR firm has a binder. It looks like they have a binder.
Those binders are important. You need to be able to reflect, take a look at situationally.
When you're operating from a deficit, the binder is very, very, very important.
Tried and True Consulting, my dear friends who helped participate and improve our golf tournament this past week, is at it again. I know that looks like the latest ad board's going up in the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Look forward to seeing that, too. That'll be really, really nice. Our buddy Bill over there at Corner Pocket recognizing the good work of Tried and True and what they do with those ad boards. Also, they are a payments and business solutions organization. Their expertise, it's, you've got everything from ACH, point of sale, mobile, all that stuff, e-commerce. If you want to learn more about what it is the folks at Tried and True Consulting do and can do for you in terms of making you money, and they get back their money to the battle's end as well, trying to help out, give them a call today, 844-464-6653, 844-464-6653.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 85 this afternoon under overcast skies, winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 63 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 88 and foggy early tomorrow, cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 82 degrees.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123. Or visit us online at metalroofingsales.net.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So, like, different breeds, like different kinds.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yeah,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And I've
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I do think that the team Luke Laux puts together this year is going to be a team that this fan base embraces, cheers for, enjoys watching. I don't know how great what their upside will be, how good they'll be, especially, that you're going to play a few teams next year that you have maybe a third of their operating budget for basketball. And so it is tough to expect that you'd be able to compete at the highest level there. But I think they'll play together. I think they'll play smart. I think they'll play a very modern brand of basketball. I think they'll play up-tempo like Ira just referenced, because I know that's what he wants to do. And he has, if you go back and look at those players, brought in a bunch of shooters. So if they're able to create open looks through transition, they're going to be more fun to watch. They'll knock down some shots now.
They will be. The one thing that's missing so far,
they don't have a center.
Yeah, or just even a large forward that's just good at going and getting the basketball. And that will be something that I think they're at 10 or 11 right now.
They're at 10.
They're at 10. So you could probably, depending on roster limits, it could be, a couple guys, few guys, up to 5 with the house settlement whenever that comes through.
I don't think it's coming through anytime soon.
Probably not, because what moves at any efficient speed in this age of college sports?
I don't think this is ever going to go through. That's another discussion, but
it's frustrating. But this roster has a lot of yes, as you pointed out in the last segment, we did a video on this. I think it was released this morning, but there's a lot of experience there, a lot of college-proven production there. But you need somebody who can help you extend possessions or end possessions by being able to battle along the glass. 1 or 2 of those guys, if you can. And even if those guys aren't great in other facets of the game, but they can spell you for 16 minutes a night, there you go. That's just a little facet they could use.
By the way, we're talking about the frustration of what's happening in collegiate athletics right now and the way that it's alienated fans and frustrated people who have a vested interest in the sport and want to see things improve and want us to get to the other side of this transition. Even people who are patient. I did crack up. We got our first casualty in all of this. Well, I can't say it's our first. It's a high-profile casualty. Nico, I'm leaving. This cracked me up, by the way. He signed with UCLA over the weekend, and for a lot less money than he was about to make at Tennessee this year. And his dad, who's apparently stupid, or thinks we are, had a lot to say about how, it was never about the money. And, I lampoon anybody who thinks that this was about the money. It was more about the quality of players that they were bringing in the portal. We took issue with. Oh, really? So you think that the players they're bringing in at UCLA are going to be whooping ass and taking names all around you? So your son transfers out of a place that is, kind of winning games in the SEC and on TV every week, and you take it to a place that is going to pay your son less and has far inferior players and is never on television. I see. That was your decision. It wasn't about the money. It was always about this, just feeling comfortable. Okay. Or you misplayed the hell out of your hand, and now every time you talk, you sound like a dumbass. Just shut up. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself, your family, and everything that just happened here. That is ridiculous. And it's fun to watch play out because it's going to continue to happen. And I do think at some point it will have an impact in the way that these negotiations take place, and probably a good one.
Yes, it will, as long as you're a mediocre talent, a mid talent, as the kids might say. But if you're good, you'll always have a market. There will always be a market for you. And you would be, I think you're going to be right 9 times out of 10 that you can make more money somewhere else. He just wasn't very good relative to what he was asking. No.
Right. But don't come out and tell everybody that the negotiation behind the scenes that you're renegotiating, he was making over $2 million a year. And that you did this because in the offseason you felt like Tennessee wasn't bringing in, quote unquote, the right kinds of players around your son? What are you talking about? And UCLA is just ridiculous. It's absurd. And yeah, at some point, I think if I'm the son, I'm like, you owe me a bunch of money. You just cost me a couple $1 million. You owe me a bunch of money, Dad. You're a moron.
Glenn Gary, you just cost me $6,000. $6,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's just idiotic. Good luck. We'll never hear from you again. Have fun at UCLA. Another sub-500 season they'll have. I don't know, man. That's just hilarious to watch play out. And kind of predictable.
Well, yeah, especially because UCLA was considered to be the smoking gun for them to leverage Tennessee in the first place, which never made sense. We discussed that weeks ago. So UCLA is the one that's going to come to the party with all that money to win what, 6 games?
Well, that's because he was originally wanting to go to UCLA, so it's his fallback, is what it is.
Right, but they would not spend that much money. It doesn't improve their roster to the level that they would be looking for roster improvement. It doesn't legitimize them. It doesn't finish off an offensive group of 11 that they were just a quarterback away. It doesn't do any of those things. And this is where the rule, perhaps it could be adopted by all power programs and in a cross-conference way. This is where the rule of the SEC saying you can't go inside the conference in the spring window and play that same year has the teeth that the NCAA rules used to have, which is if you want to leave, you got to wait. You got to sit out. So you just took away a huge chunk of potential suitors and leverage for Nico in that situation. Maybe that's the way out of it. Maybe through playoff negotiations for seeding and things like that, they can come to an agreement across power conferences that say spring window, unless you're a graduate, no mas.
Well, this is, we don't send a lot of loving telegrams over to the SEC these days, since they're in large part the problem, along with the Big Ten and others, in terms of what we've seen in terms of changes in the sport. But that part of it's right. And these are common sense rules that at some point they've got to get into place in the sport. What did I miss?
Tony says we will hear from him again because he'll be in the portal in the winter.
Oh, man. I think it's funny because the second you heard about him not responding to phone calls and requests to come into the office and missing practice, then missing the spring game, you were like, oh, okay, so they're renegotiating. And then all of a sudden, when that went south, you heard his team begin to tell people, oh, well, you guys got it all wrong. We weren't renegotiating. We weren't holding anybody hostage. And no, you know what?
I still think there's a shot that he goes to a third school
before
it's closed.
Like he doesn't play.
Maybe he'll go to Texas Tech, or maybe he'll go to some school. Yeah, he'll go to like Utah, and then he'll make 1.8, and he'll be close to making what he was making.
Final hour, bonus hour, as we say. Coming up next, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFT Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
The NFL draft begins on Thursday in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the 5th pick in the first round. The Jags have 10 picks overall, picking twice in round 3, 4, and 6. Jacksonville under new head coach Liam Cohen. While the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picking 19th in the opening round, they have 6 picks overall and do not have a selection in round number 6. The Florida State baseball team returning to the Diamond Tuesday facing Stetson. They had their 3 games against Virginia canceled in Tallahassee over the weekend after the active shooter situation on campus last week. The Seminoles entering the game on Tuesday on a 4-game win streak. The Florida Gators facing Georgia Southern Tuesday in Gainesville. The Gators losing to Mississippi State Sunday 14-8, but still took 2 of 3 in the series. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, Real Talk 93.3.
Don't miss your chance to spring into deals at Lowe's. Right now, get a free 60-volt Toro battery when you purchase a select 60-volt Toro electric mower. Plus, buy 3 19.3-ounce vegetable and herb Bonnie plants for just $10. It's time to give your yard a grow up. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid to 4/23. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Mother's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for moms and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Did you know backup generators often lack the power needed to start an AC unit? Installing an Easy Flex soft starter from E&B Heating and Air can reduce startup current by 75%, allowing your AC to run without a larger, more expensive generator. Visit EMBHeatingandAir.com for more info.
Like most of us, your home is your greatest investment. I mean, think about it. The financial benefits, the newfound freedoms of purchasing a home can contribute to your family's health and wealth and happiness. Well, with real estate trends pointing to a favorable market for buyers, this is the time to be sure of what you're buying or selling. And that is exactly why Joel Hagens built ACL Home Inspections, providing you thorough, precise, and efficient service with same-day, easy-to-read digital reports. They'll even go with you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you want to buy. Now, if you're planning to list your house before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection. Call today, 850-312-8919, 312-8919. Remember, before you buy or sell, call ACL.
Pinch A Penny Pools has 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, locally owned, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Roofing and construction services. Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark Construction.com.
CCC 133-1204.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Did see something, by the way, during the break. I was catching up on MLB draft rankings, and not that I'm going to lead the way with that, but just want to mention specifically that Jimmy Arnold's still in high regard. Somebody that, there's some questions about now, they're saying, as I mentioned before the year began, but they have not, washed their hands of the potential of him to be a top 5 pick, which is nice. I'm rooting for him.
Well, here's a way to frame just how close we are to getting with the getting in the schedule. If you're just looking at the remaining weekend series for Florida State, now that Virginia unfortunately was canceled last week, you've got Louisville, Clemson, Cal, North Carolina, an ACC start, a regional start, hopefully a super regional start, and then hopefully a start or 2 in Omaha. Those would all be nice if you could get them all, but that's 8 starts for the rest of your life, Jamie Arnold, at most.
Yeah, so, and they're going to, if you look at it from a standpoint of how well will Florida State do and how deep will Florida State go, yes, not only is this about Jamie Arnold securing his future financial, opportunities and perhaps obviously position in the draft, but this is about being the elite pitcher he can be for a program that, if they expect to go back to Omaha and if they want to make another run in Omaha, have to have their top 2 guys pitch at a very, very high level. They have lately. We'll see.
But you're promised about 5 more of these. And then after that, it has to be through merit for the entirety of the team. And you just think about it that way. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were thinking about an entire season for Jamie Arnold to put together to fortify the resume that he is a first-round pick, that he is a top 5 pick or top 3 pick. Here you go. We're not that far away now from winning time. We're not that far away from the selection show. That's Memorial Day. I mean, we're nearly out of April. This month has flown by. We'll be into May next week. We'll already be into May.
It's hard to believe. And we will have had the results in hand from the NFL draft, which is underway this Thursday. Falcons fans, a couple of you reached out because you heard me talking about the Dolphins. You've heard me talk about Tampa Bay. Jags fans have heard me talk a little bit about them. I like to talk about the teams in the region a little bit more. So Atlanta falls in that category to a degree. New Orleans and Carolina do. And so I would just say this. If I'm a Falcons fan, my number one concern is getting rid of Kirk Cousins. I'd be trying to do that yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. So the Falcons have said very publicly, which is hilarious, that they're not interested in getting rid of Kirk Cousins. Of course, behind the scenes, it's the only thing they're interested in. They have got to try to get out from under the ridiculous contract they gave Kirk Cousins, especially because they've now officially moved on from Kirk Cousins, who's not any good and banged up. So it's you got your guy in Penix. Let's just move it along. You got the most expensive backup quarterback in the history of football, and I would be moving on and entertaining offers. Apparently they have. Now, they've had discussions with teams, according to Schefter, and those discussions have said that they want a lot in return. No, I don't need a lot in return. They've asked, what they want is for a team to pay $20 million of the $37.5 million left of the guaranteed portion of his contract. Well, I can understand that. That's why you don't make stupid deals. You've put yourself in a bind, but most teams are going to say no.
You could send me a box of deflated footballs as long as you're willing to take $20, $21, $22 million of that contract if I'm a Falcons fan, because the whole thing is when you get a rookie quarterback you like, you're supposed to have a ton of cap room because you get the rookie deal. But right now, you have the rookie quarterback, but you're also paying for a top-flight free agent quarterback. So you're not getting that salary cap benefit of being able to go out in free agency and fortify the roster. So, yeah, man, give me pick 350. Oh, that pick doesn't exist. I don't care.
Right.
Give me $20 million for this guy.
You got a new calendar? Send me a new calendar. I like the ones that hang on the fridge. Send me that, and I'll tell you what. If you'll pay $15 million of what we're going to still owe, it's a deal. We got to move on. Get him out of here. Don't want to see him sitting around here. All of his fringe lunatic views and everything. You get the hell up out of here, you crazy bitch, and you can't play. Go ahead. Get out. I would be moving on with the quickness, but we'll see. We'll see who's willing to do that. I do think that that's the most interesting part of these drafts is like this draft in general is who is willing to make some moves. I mean, at this point, the Saints history, the last time the Saints used a first-round pick on a quarterback in the draft, can you name it?
What round pick?
A first-round pick was the last time the Saints took a quarterback in the first round. They have the 9th pick in the draft this year.
Did Aaron Brooks go in the first round?
He did not.
Okay. No, I don't know.
1971, Archie Manning.
There's a good reason I wouldn't know. There
Archie Manning was the last time the Saints took a quarterback in the first round. They're in another interesting situation where Derek Carr is claiming that he's hurt. Most people don't really believe that, but it's a whole weird situation.
Aaron Brooks was taken in the 4th round for those of you keeping score.
I was going to say, if Aaron Brooks had been drafted in the first round, we got an issue. But, yeah, 4th round?
4th round. It would appear by the Packers, too. Didn't realize that.
I would also note that there's thought that the Steelers would maybe be willing to take, going back to our Atlanta discussion, the Steelers might be willing to take a look at Kirk Cousins if he passes a physical.
Yeah, I'd rather have him than Rodgers at this point, which is wild to say.
Yes. Yeah, I would. Oh, man, if I'm a Steelers fan right now, I'm like, man, this is not a good situation. We cannot listen. I've already talked about this. We cannot go into the season starting Mason Rudolph. We cannot win games with Mason Rudolph as my quarterback.
I think the conversation up there would be, it's time. It's like the commercial, it's time. We got to reboot. We got to reboot this thing. I'm tired of living in the middle and giving up 6 yards of play in the playoffs. I'm tired of it. I can't. That's wonderful. You never had a losing season. You know what? I'm firing you so that you can say in perpetuity your entire Steelers career, you never had a losing season, Mr. Tomlin. We are intentionally tanking and restarting this thing because living at 9-8, living at 10-7 just isn't a place to live.
This is a list of players that are on rookie contracts who would be deemed as expendable, meaning you could use them to make a deal or to get, or to move on, or just, people that there are veteran players that are available for a trade. Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, Kirk Cousins, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, Trey Hendrickson. These are players that people would want. Really good players in many cases. If the salary's there, like Trey Hendrickson in Tampa Bay, sounds great, but not likely. And they would want an arm and a leg for that player.
You said Mark Andrews, and I winced. I forgot about the playoffs.
Got to make that catch.
Tough offseason.
I like Mark too, and he owned it, but that was tough.
Probably once a week he wakes up going, I'd forgotten about it for a few hours.
Yeah. It was cold. It was awfully cold. Anyhow, so the situation, those are guys, right? Then there are, there are players who've kind of fallen out of good graces, or as you'd like to say, have shown that they can't play. And maybe, or their play has fallen off considerably and teams will be looking to move on. And that's interesting because some of those names are players that could probably help certain teams. The Bucs have a player that they would move on from. They'd move on from Rachaad White. They would move on from Rachaad White with the right offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have, you ended up getting Bucky. You got back in the 4th round.
And Sean Tucker wasn't bad at all last year either.
Right. But Will Levis, for example, Evan Neal. The Giants actually have a few. Jalen Hyatt, Kayvon Thibodeau. You know, they got guys that they could be willing to move on from. Looks like the Jags are willing to move on from Travis Etienne. They're even talking about maybe going running back. Oh, that would be a crushing blow at Jacksonville. Well, some people say they want Genty.
Oh, my. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. I know that specifically I take digs at your very sensitive fan base, but that's a toughie.
Keyshawn Boutte with the Patriots. George Pickens with the Steelers.
That is a headache and a half.
Oh, right. Well, the Steelers specialize in it. Sam Howell, you even remember where he is?
Well, he went to North Carolina. Wasn't he in Washington?
You know, for a while, but he hasn't been in a minute.
Oh, really? Houston. Feels like Houston's
He's
right.
with the Seahawks.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Traylon Burks.
Well, who's their quarterback?
They don't have one.
Okay.
Even
with an opening, like, we don't want you, Sam.
No, we don't.
I thought this was my chance.
We can't go to battle with. No, I don't think you. Tyree Wilson, the edge from the Raiders. There's a lot. So I don't know. I'm looking for fodder for trades. I'm looking to see, can we get something? What will happen? The lack of movement is the concern you have going into the draft. The Browns inquired about the possibility of trading from number 2 out, by the way, but they seem to be set on Hunter. The Giants persistent in their efforts to maybe trade for the top pick, which is interesting to me. That means they would take Cam Ward.
What? After going to get Russ and Jameis?
Well, Russ and Jameis aren't the future.
Well, then why'd you do it?
They got to have somebody start at quarterback.
Pick one of them.
Well, their combined money isn't that expensive for a starting quarterback. You'll figure out which guy can do the job. I don't know. There are other teams wanting to move back. The Steelers are thinking about it as well. The Jags, Panthers, 49ers, Falcons, Seahawks, Bucks even, Vikings as well. Vikings have 4 picks, the fewest of any team in the draft. They need need to acquire picks.
Yeah.
So there aren't that many teams willing to trade up. And, the Bucks are like looking to trade down even. I don't know how far down you need to go. You're at 19. You trade out of the first round?
I mean, that would be they like a position, a player at a position, and they feel like the best of the rest is all the same. So if it's a linebacker or a safety that they like and he's there on the board, fine. If not, then trade back. I'd be okay with that. That's the one buzzkill, though.
Oh, that's a tough one.
On a Thursday night, you're picking in the back half of the draft. You're waiting hours for your team. Then it's your time. They're talking about you for 30 seconds. We got breaking news. Looks like we've got a trade here. The Cardinals have jumped to the Tampa Bay pick at number 19. Let's see what the Cardinals select. They're on the clock right now. And then you think, well, damn it.
The Arizona Cardinals currently have the longest streak in sports of not winning a championship. They've never won one, and it's been 73 years. So, like, franchise.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a toughie.
A world,
a championship of any kind.
So the Lions won the NFL championship?
Yeah, the Lions used to win the NFL championship back in the day.
Interesting.
Before the Super Bowl existed.
Right. Yeah. That was the Philly funny talking point before they finally crossed the threshold.
Right. Yeah. No, Arizona's just the Cardinals franchise never done a damn thing.
Well, they were so close.
They were that close, buddy.
They were very close.
That's a toughie. The Jags are the most interesting team in the draft. They have so many picks. They got a lot of them. Now they need a lot of help, but they have 10 picks to work with. And so if you're going to look for a team to shake things up Thursday night, it might be the Jags. Now, look, they've got, I think, a lock of a player that is going to be instantly productive and very, very good, and that's the Michigan defensive tackle, Mason Graham, who's a stud. And I don't think I'd move off of that. You'd have to give me one hell of a deal. But because the guys that you see, like we see it most of the time, it seems to be apparent with offensive and defensive linemen where you're like, that Tristan Wirfs is going to be a very good player. We know that. You start him. He's your franchise tackle for the next 10 years. You're golden. And that's exactly what's happened. You seem to get those more obvious standout picks on the offensive line and the defensive line. You can be like, well, Jalen Carter's going to be really good. He's a monster. You can't block him. You know what I mean? And I think that in this case, they have that guy in Mason Graham. But you have a lot of picks and may have a couple of teams that are interested. I don't know. I hate moving off of guys that I know I can't miss.
That's got to be the worst division to be a fan of. I mean, really. Like, our division isn't great. The NFC South doesn't inspire you by the interdivisional matchups. But that has been an especially attainable division, the AFC South.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just be decent.
Well, the Texans 2 years ago were really good. And they were 10-7 this past year, which was a step back. But you're right. Typically, you can be better than the Colts, and you can certainly be better than the Titans. And yes, agreed.
Just feels more gettable in that division. If you were in the AFC West right now, you're like, well, I mean, my God.
Yeah, that doesn't feel gettable for the Raiders.
No. If you're in the NFC North, well, I mean, Baltimore, Harbaugh is going to win 12 games. So we're not going to win the division. We just need to be a wild card team. The AFC South is gettable.
Oh, listen, the AFC South is the Texans were the only team with a winning record last year in the division, and they only won 10 games. So yes, I would agree with that. And there doesn't seem to be something that's so hard to overcome there. Whereas, yes, the AFC West is brutal because let's say you're the Raiders, the ass of the division. You are a 4-win team with no real prospects, and Denver now is moving in the right direction, seemingly found their quarterback and a defense that's elite. By the way, Denver won 10 games last year. So there you are. If you get past Denver, then maybe you can get to the Chargers and you're a million miles from the Chiefs. Whew. This is a toughie. I wouldn't be feeling too good if I were a Cowboys fan right about now either, because trying to aspire to surpass Washington with Jaden Daniels at quarterback and where that franchise is headed. And, of course, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl.
I think it's all about the Eagles reload with all the guys they lost on their, especially defensively from the Super Bowl. That would be your hope is that maybe you can climb that high because the Giants are, the Giants. They got some skill players, but
they have some. If they got a quarterback, they'd be an interesting team.
Well, they might take 3 swings at it. If they trade up to number 1 overall, Russ, then Jameis, then Cam Ward.
Come on, Jameis, beat out Russ. You got to beat out Russ. You know how much more fun it would be for a Giants fan to watch Jameis play quarterback every week? You know what you're going to get with Russ. He's whatever. Goofy bitch. He'll play average all year long. Every once in a while, he'll make a throw. We're like, oh, yeah, he used to be good. Most of the time, it's going to be terrible. He's impossible to like. There's just, Jameis is going to win you some games, and he's going to lose you some games. You just don't know what you're going to get any given Sunday, buddy. But let's buckle up and have some fun.
He's going to start 8 games for you this year. No matter what, you just want to go 5-3 in those 8 games.
But they're going to be a roller coaster. There are going to be days he looks like the best quarterback in the league, and there are days where he's going to throw 3 pick sixes and just lost you the game
in the first half.
And you're going to go, Lord, deliver him from these pick sixes. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites. A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team.
Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like ABC Flooring, Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme, or Keith Lawson Services, providing professional services and maintenance for your home's most critical systems for over 39 years. If you need air conditioning, heating, or plumbing repairs, you will receive an upfront written quote, and the job will be done on time by the area's most advanced, highly trained professionals. Keith Lawson Services, Florida license CMC 125456 and CFC 1429-197.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text TARGET to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text TARGET to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text TARGET to 200-300. Target to 200-300.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on this Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you always. I think I'm making a series of really good dinners this week, Tom Lang. That's what I'm doing.
I hear skirt steak.
That's a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
You knew I was going that route, buddy. Absolutely. Hey, it's time to book those summer trips, you slackers, starting at under $200 for Memorial Day, starting at under $250 for July 4th. Great rates through July for Florida residents. Don't stay landlocked. Call aboveandbeyondvr.com or Above and Beyond VR today, but I would tell you to go to aboveandbeyondvr.com and go ahead and book it. Get it done. The amount of money being saved right now, which is a beautiful thing, as they offer it up, get your little vacation going here. Knowles helping Knowles, as we say, but no ridiculous Airbnb fees, none of that nonsense, no VRBO fees, none of that jacked up pricing. And then you're saving all of the money with the Jeff Cameron Show, the JCS code, and you type it in with 5%, whatever that is. So we're doing some things still. And I know that some people have, and others inquired at the golf tournament, in fact. How about that? It's a good thing. That was bringing people together and maybe booking some luxury accommodations. I think, Tom, the highlighted one for this week is, well, you got it right there. I see you pulled it up. Wow.
So the opulent places we stayed in Clearwater Beach are all excellent rates through May and in June. But I just looked through May, and this particular unit that has 3 bedrooms, is 3 stories, has a roof, an elevator in the place, which is pretty
By the
cool.
way, and we saw the elevator,
garden tub, a pool, and you have access to a pool throughout the community as well. Under $300 a night for this particular unit. And then the ones we stayed in, which were 3 bedrooms, and they're actually right across the street from this awesome spot, under $400 a night, 3 bedrooms. So if you think about it, go down there with a couple of families, take a bunch of kids down to the beach, chop it up a few ways, and it's extremely reasonable. It's first class. It's your own kitchen. It's your own pool, your own privacy. It's a great way to spend a nice vacation and get away from that sizzling heat without a Gulf breeze. The Gulf breeze makes a difference. Come next month, it's going to make a big difference.
727-253-5995, that phone number, make it happen, or aboveandbeyondvr.com, promo code JCS.
I'm assuming Justin Thomas is who went above and beyond for you.
Well, that would have been selfish. I was going to actually say that the above and beyond, sometimes we say player of the week or the weekend. I was going to go back to Thursday and say all of the people that made the golf tournament possible, they went above and beyond. And I mean that sincerely. For me, that was the best part of the last 4 or 5 days. Needed something to, obviously, with the tragedy that transpired on Thursday after our tournament, or as our tournament was ending or rounding down, needed reasons to find the hope in humanity and find the hope in people and something positive to fall back on. And it was all of the money that was raised by the kind people who participated, donated during the giving show, helped put it all together. Our friends at the Second Harvest, the Big Ben, and you and all the other folks that made this possible, Tom. So that's my nomination for the people that went above and beyond this weekend for this last 4 or 5 days.
I'll keep it in the same line of thought, and I'll say the New York Mets with a 4-game sweep over the St. Louis Cardinals. No more. That's just the lighthearted side of things. But yeah, it's an exceptional staff at the Second Harvest as well. The one thing I always reflect on, especially as we come down from that event, is we are but a conduit to raise funds.
Sure.
But then 365 days a year, and they really do work every day at the Second Harvest of the Big Ben across 16 counties. So that's staff. That's their reality every day, is fighting that fight, providing nutrition for children, for seniors, for those who are affected by disaster, income issues, all those things. They're a phenomenal staff over there. So thank you to everybody for supporting it, including Matt at Above and Beyond, who participated in the tournament. He drove up from Clearwater to play.
I didn't even really get a chance to talk to Matt at all. It was crazy. I was running around doing a lot of talking to a lot of people, but I did see him cross my vision at one point while I was talking to somebody else, and I wanted to go over and talk, but I appreciated that he was in town. I appreciated that he participated and hung out. Yes.
Well, and also a good point from Tony in the chat, the first responders in Tallahassee on Thursday. And you look at the response time, it was inside of 5 minutes.
Yes.
From the beginning of the incident till he was in custody. And I saw Corey's tweet over the weekend that if you look at the library incident, unfortunately, you compare these things now 11 years apart, 10 and a half years apart. That was a 90-second response time.
Yeah, I think this was like 2-something minutes, and then that one was 90 seconds. Yeah.
I hate that we're clocked on things like this. That breaks my heart.
Sucks.
But I'm glad that there's vigilance when there needs to be, because that changes an Easter weekend. There are more happy tables than ones that are stricken by tragedy, but there's too many that are stricken by tragedy.
Yeah, no, it's impossible to wrap your mind around the senselessness of it all, but you're right. We do certainly want to highlight those that help limit the depths of that tragedy, and that would be the first responders too. So that's a good point to make as well. So yeah, it's weird when we do this. I appreciate this segment, this sponsorship, this relationship, the whole but there's no way to pivot from that. There's no way to say, all right, well, let's go over here.
We can talk bullpen ERAs if you want. I've got a good bullpen on my pro side. College side, we'll see.
They got a decent bullpen in Pittsburgh. It doesn't do us any good because we can't score a run.
Got to hand it off to him too.
We're forever watching, down 2-0 as Skeens comes off the field in the 7th. Thanks, everybody. Although I'm liking him more and more. He was asked a question about the clubhouse, and he goes, look, it doesn't really matter if people like each other or don't. We all like each other just fine, but we're not winning games, and liking each other doesn't win championships. So I was like, my man, there it is. Let's go. Say it out loud over and over again. He basically just said, the players around me suck. Can we do something?
Nice guys, though.
Yeah, all wonderful people, I'm sure. Thank you. You got to. I don't know if you noticed. It happens once a week now. And I'm blown away by this, but the owner continues to come out and at times show his face at the ballpark, and it goes poorly every time it happens. And every time it happens, I go, what are you doing? I'm glad he gets ripped, but he's up there at the one that they had this giveaway, this food thing that was going on, obviously the bobblehead thing for Skeens, but he shows his face and he's smiling like he thinks people want to see him. And instantly the chants of sell the team begin. Like as soon as he smiles and waves, sell the team. And then he kind of looks bewildered. What's going on?
He calls over his Smithers. They're saying boo earned, sir.
It's just weird. Sir, they don't like you. They loathe you. They don't tolerate you. They hate you. They hate you, and they should.
It is my sincere hope, as we're supposed to take in some Pirates and Mets baseball this year.
We are. I hope we have a good weekend that weekend in which we compete.
Everybody's peaceful, and I don't want to see the
what I saw. Fans aren't going to say anything to you, buddy.
No. I'm actually looking within here because people get big for the britches.
Oh, you're talking about the New Yorkers making their way into PNC.
I saw what the Yankees fans did.
Oh, down in Tampa?
No, when they went to Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
One guy wore a Skeens pinstripe jersey.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
It is very on brand. Extremely on brand.
Yeah.
I saw a guy at Epcot wearing a New York Giants, a football jersey that had 99 Judge, and I thought,
you're like, oh man, it doesn't get any more New Yorker than that.
He had the strut to go along with it. I didn't get close enough, but I'm sure the cologne would have been smelled from 15 feet away.
So he's a Long Island guy.
Or Jersey. 99 Judge football jersey. Oh my God. You did not go above and beyond, sir.
No, sir. No, you didn't. And you should be proud of me for not citing Justin Thomas as my above and beyond.
No, you went heartfelt. That was, nice pivot.
Yeah, no. It was nice. We got to keep it rolling this week with the golf. Keep it rolling. I'm on fire right now, baby. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Warm week ahead with above average temperatures, a mix of sun and clouds, and rain chances staying low with only a slight chance of a shower. Highs in the upper 80s to the 90-degree mark for the rest of the week. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 62. Tuesday, partly sunny, 10% chance of a shower, high of 88, low of 62. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high of 90. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Porterman, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Porterman, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, 1 second it's air, water, air, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Porterman, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity to get straightened out.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Listen up, Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. So let's do it again and get vaccinated. We're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults under 50. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com to schedule. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I know we were just talking about somebody donning an Aaron Judge jersey while wearing a Giants jersey, or the Judge as a nameplate. Did you see the Judge home run against the Rays that was called foul?
I did.
I mean, what are we doing with replay? Now, I understand that ballpark is kind of ridiculous, Steinbrenner Field that they're playing on, and the foul pole itself, poles, are shorter than they are in any major league park because it's a minor league park. And they don't extend upwards enough where it can be, I mean, that won't be the first time this happens this year. They're going to have a hard time for people that hit moonball home runs, and perhaps nobody hits them higher than Judge does. But it was pretty easy to tell that it was a fair ball by a lot, like not a little bit.
Correct.
The down the line view from home plate, which I would again ask the third base umpire how the hell he missed it. He might say it was too high for me to tell or something like that. Okay, fine. That's why you have replay. You have replay in case you miss it. It can happen. Maybe sometimes it's a line drive. You don't get your head around fast enough and, find out exactly what level the ball is on or something outside of the park and you're caught off guard. All right, well, we got replay for you, buddy. Most of us could probably orient ourselves in time to see it, but you couldn't. So let's check the replay. And given that there are trees behind, big green puffy trees, to act as a landmark with the yellow pole sticking between them, you can say, is it on this side into the puffy trees or that side into the puffy trees? And when I watch the replay, I'm like, well, it's 7 yards if you're looking at the pole from home plate. It's to the right of the pole. It's fair by a lot, not a little bit, but quite a bit. And I hate the Yankees and would root for the Rays 10 out of 10 times. Hate the Yankees with a passion. Love that they got screwed on both the air call turning into a hit and the home run. Did make a difference. They won the game. But come on, buddy. That is terrible. Why do you even have replay if you can't look at that and clearly see, oh, well, they missed that. That's a home run.
I don't understand how you don't at least, because I think Sacramento has the same problem being a minor league park with the shortened poles. That you don't have a camera that's suspended on top of the foul pole that at least could give you guidance, or one that's aligned
further back,
straight back. You put it onto the concourse itself above where the seating area
well, they're gonna
is.
Yes.
And you just affix a line to it that extends straight up. You make sure your scientists get in there, measure it all, make sure it's in the right place. So you get a down the line look and it extends 200 feet into the air. And then you use the camera angle to tell you where the ball is relative to the line. How's that not something that's just standard at this point?
Or you just look at the replay and see that it was fair.
Sure.
But I mean,
like you could have something that allows you to take the conclusive evidence out of it because you're getting a fact. You're getting a fair or foul look with a static camera, much like we talk about with the goal line camera, a pylon cam, or now the one that they have on the sticks, which is great that they rolled out the last couple of years in football for a first down. You get a shot straight down the line to gain.
I will say, I have more sympathy for the Judge missed, not more sympathy. I mean, I feel bad for the Yankees in the sense that was clearly a home run. The other one, Chandler Simpson's the fastest player in baseball. And if you go back and watch that replay, I think he's going to beat that out. Even if he picks it up cleanly, he's winning the race to the bag against Fried. Fried ain't he ain't beating him. So I could see where you would turn that into a hit. I wouldn't have waited 2 innings to do it, but yeah, you go back and get a good look at that. You're going, yeah, he's beating him out. It's a boot. But even if he picks it up clean, I don't I don't think they're getting it.
Here's the other thing. Is it because of hurricane season or local code? Typically, when you have to fit a building to be up to standard for a different level of a game, for the NFL, something has to be Super Bowl ready as a facility.
Well, yeah, the NFL pays for that. Yeah.
Right. How are you not paying for just taller foul poles?
Yeah, I would think Major League Baseball would have stepped in and may still at this point.
What's it going to cost you? A few grand? I mean, like, what are we doing? Because this is going to come up.
It's going to happen again and again. Yes.
They're not 360. You know, it's Yankee Stadium Redux. This thing is 315 down the lines. It's going to happen a lot.
It's also the problem they're having in Tampa Bay right now is that while the experience itself may be intimate and fun to go to, it's getting hot. And the ball is leaving the yard with much greater frequency. It's a bandbox and then some.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
I mean, they should have greenlit 10 a.m. starts. I'm not even kidding because how oppressive it gets down there.
Well, I'm not worried about people falling out. I just don't want pop-ups to steady leave the yard like they're starting to.
They will do so less at 10 in the morning than they will at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night because I think they're trying to start them early in the evening to mitigate. That's
going to be a fascinating season. They're early in the year. It's still nice down there. It's not about to be.
No.
When you get to May, it's not about to be nice.
No, and that field, I mean, what are they going to have, like 6 layers of tarp?
They do have a bunch of tarp out there. They are trying to help.
Like 6 layers? Because it doesn't get just a little soggy out there. Like you're basically playing golf in the summers in Tampa Bay in a swamp. No matter where you are in Tampa Bay, you're getting mud on your golf ball no matter where you play.
It reminds me of being much younger and going to when my dad and I, any of the noon kickoffs at Doak Campbell, sitting on that hard-ass bleacher, blazing sun, some fat ass sitting next to y'all, rubbing up on your leg. This fat ass. This is awful. And just, and you get guys rolling up their sleeves so their sweaty shoulders are rubbing into you.
They're breathing on you.
This is all. It is 98 and humid out here, and we're about to beat this godforsaken directional school by 100. Why? Why am I here?
Why do I have to hear this guy
is
his pretzel?
Oh,
it was a good play.
Oh, I wish it was a good play. It's usually some a-hole imploring you to cheer or sit down or shut up or some whatever directive that they have no reason to be telling you to do.
The only time they'll shut their mouth is to watch the race cars. You know, you get Burt Reynolds versus Cimarron in a car and somebody else. That's the best part of the game. Come on, 3.
Let's do probables. Cue it up, good sir. Cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
That music just makes it all better.
It does. Aforementioned Yankees on the road against the Guardians. They're feeling good about themselves, having just swept the Pirates. Clark Schmidt, Gavin Williams. Padres, Tigers, Randy Vasquez, Kider Montero. Reds, Marlins, Nick Lodolo, Max Meyer. We got the Phillies and the Mets. Uh-oh. Director Matthew. So that is the 15-7 Mets hosting the 13-9 Phillies.
Yeah.
Citi Field tonight, 7:10. Should be a good one.
They finally moved Schwarber off the leadoff spot and put him in an RBI position. He's been mashing.
Aaron Nola, not the same Aaron Nola of yesteryear. Comes into the game 0-4 with a 6.65. Going against Tyler McGill. Cardinals, Braves. Eric Feedy and Spencer Schwellenbach. Schwelly. Don't look now. The Braves swept the Twins. Everybody does. Braves are 8-13. They'll be back at 500 before you know it. Blue Jays, Astros, Kevin Gausman, Hunter Brown. Brewers, Giants, Quinn Priester, former Pirate. He'll probably be really good. Robbie Ray. White Sox, Red Sox already happened. Red Sox 4, White Sox 2. They ran the Boston Marathon today. This was a morning game, always is. I think it starts at 11.
Yeah.
I always like that tradition. Jonathan Cannon going for the White Sox. Walker Buehler,
trapper keeper,
went for the Red Sox. The Red Sox won the game.
They said he stayed in a hotel last night, so he didn't have the traffic problems with the marathon in the morning. Yeah.
I'm never going to run the Boston Marathon, but if I did, I think I would, enjoy it as much as you can enjoy surviving a marathon. But afterwards, it's a party while you all watch the end of the Red Sox game. I love looking at the bars all around Boston. The guys who just got done running, getting hammered watching the end of the Red Sox game.
19 Fenway, Franks. Oh, let's go.
Oh, buddy,
so
that
good?
That would be perfect. And that is a look at those that shall reside at the bar. I always like stopping it there, unless it's the very, very end. Yeah, man, that is yes, that would be fun. Or just to go support somebody there, and then we all will have the hot dogs together.
Yeah, we could do the fun things together.
As it stands right now in the East, if you haven't been paying attention, the Yankees lead the way at 14-8. They are 2 games up on the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Rays in last. Orioles 9-12, not real good either. In the Central, the Detroit Tigers 13-9. Half game up on the Guardians. The Texas Rangers leading out west over the Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh yesterday hit his 9th home run of the season already. Cal Raleigh, the man in Seattle. He's like a folk hero out there now.
It's nuts. So I was watching my ball game over the weekend, and they showed the stat in MLB, most barrels so far, which means nuclear shots off of the bat. You square it up. Top 3 in baseball. Aaron Judge, of course, you would guess that. Pete Alonso is the reason they put it up. Cal Raleigh is top 3 in baseball in barrels.
Cal, good on you.
And that's
Cal.
before going Oppo for his 9th bomb yesterday.
The NL East, led by your New York Mets at 15-7. Winners of 4 straight. Phillies in second place. Battle of first and second. Rest of the division below 500, significantly. Miami Marlins are in third at 9-12.
You see the problem with Snitker over the weekend and Acuna?
Yeah, it wasn't good, and I'm on Acuna's side here.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have tweeted it, but yeah.
No. Yes. So what
Your
happened
former
was,
player, by the way, the
Yeah.
Mets former, people thought he was going to be good.
Kelenic. Yeah, we traded him for Sugar Diaz and Robinson Cano.
So Kelenic didn't run out a ball that he thought was gone. He got thrown out at second base. When that happened, when Acuna did it, he got pulled from the game.
Right. And Acuna tweeted after, or in the morning, after he saw what Snitker said, that, well, if it was me, you would have pulled me out of the game. To which Snitker responded after yesterday's ball game and said, I didn't realize that he didn't run it out, which is a horrible answer because it's a lie.
It's a lie. It's a big lie right off the bat.
And if you were telling the truth, that means you weren't watching something critical that happened in the course of the game.
It would also, it's not that. It's that he just made an excuse, and it's a lie. And it's problematic for a lot of reasons. You have a bench coach, you have a pitching coach, you have a number of coaches and players in your dugout at all times watching the action, and maybe you miss something subtle. No, it's not subtle, but maybe you miss something subtle. It's going to be said to you. It's going to be relayed to you by your bench coach.
His only out there was, well, look, I gave Ronald several chances and had several messages with him. This is the first time I talked to Jared. But the problem was his initial response was I supposed to do something? Discipline Jared?
Man.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, you screwed that up. And now you created an issue for nothing.
Correct.
Like there's no reason to create an issue out of thin air. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where like the president of operations sits down with you and like, hey man,
sorry to fire. Didn't need gasoline on it.
Come on, man. We're out here going 8-13, and you're gonna piss off our best player.
We're playing better baseball. We won 6 out of 10. We swept. Can we focus on the good times here, Snit?
In the Central, it's the Cubs at 14-10, a game up on the Brewers 12-10. My Pirates dead ass last, even with the Cardinals having lost 4 straight over the weekend. Could be a long year in Pittsburgh, guys. NL West sees the Padres in first place, not the Dodgers. It's the Padres at 16-6. Look at the Padres. That's a fun division because if you didn't know, Padres have 16 wins, Dodgers have 16 wins, Giants have 14 wins, 14-8, and the D-backs are 13-9. Only the sorry Colorado Rockies
still sitting on 3 wins.
No, they got to 4.
Hey, all right.
They got to 4. They won yesterday. They are 4-17.
I like the Padres City Connect uniforms that are lime green and pink because their standard uniforms are very boring and muted, and I like them. The brown and the yellow.
I like them too.
It's better than the old navy and gold that they were wearing. This is a better combination. But I like the opposite nature of
just going all crazy.
Yeah, if you're gonna go in, go nuts.
Is it the Rays that have the drawing of St. Pete, Tampa in the background? I think it is. Like if you look at their City Connect uniform, I think it's like the outline.
Oh, really?
Of the city. Yeah, you got to look close, but I think it is. It's just the colors are all goofy, but if you look close, it is the drawing of the city.
I do like that they go back to the early the expansion era.
Where they wear the Devil Rays hats?
Purple and green and yellow. Like, yeah, man, embrace it.
Wearing the Devil Ray hats are where it's at.
Yeah.
The Smash tonight at 7 o'clock, I do believe. 7 o'clock for you in Ira. I will be curious to see where that goes. I would like to know your thoughts and Ira's thoughts together on how many players Florida State's going to bring in. Everybody will have to watch to find out, but I would guess that. Look, right now it's all about. Right now it's all about the exodus. People are worried about the exodus.
We're a little bit more heavy on the outflow than the influx. A little bit more on the outflow instead of the influx.
I will tell you that again. I don't think it's that big a deal that the players that have announced so far. Look, the biggest. You lose TJ Ferguson, who was a backup guard. You lose Aaron Hester, who was never going to play here. Most of the names that you lose, you're not too upset about. It's Jaylen Brown, who screwed himself by getting arrested. And Ira said it when he joined me last hour that he guesses that's not the first transgression, which is why the response was so immediate. I would agree with that. And I don't know the extent of the details to that transgression. I know what I read, but we don't know specifically some things that would maybe help make that decision easier. Anyhow, the point would be that was a guy, you lose a speed guy, and we've just lost too many speed guys at wide receiver. Some of it has been our fault. Some of it has just been bad luck with injury. And in this case, it's a kid getting arrested and, screwing himself.
Well, this opens the door for Mekhi Danzy, who obviously wasn't out there for spring ball because of different sports.
Track.
And him being a track star. But here you go. For Jalen Lucas and Mekhi Danzy, humongous opportunities, to say nothing of McCoy or Moore or BJ Gibson, another two-sport athlete, and whoever else they bring in. But you've got some opportunities now. They do have some dudes who can fly. Not just Jalen. They do. It's mostly Lucas, but
he's tiny, and anyhow, that's it's frustrating. Good work out of you, sir. Thanks to all of you. We'll be back with you tomorrow for Seminole headlines and the bonus hour that I'll do. Until then, peace.